Good tidings, ladies and gentlemen of the Lodge, and welcome back. We've got another podcast episode for you today, but before we get into that, let's first give a huge thank you to the Sages of the Lodge. Those who donate as little as $1 a month to keep my nonsense going, which can be done by either becoming a YouTube channel member or following a link in the episode description. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy to have you all here hanging out. So before we roll into the episode, I do just want to give a quick update. I am still having problems with live streaming, so until further notice, the podcast episodes will be pre-uploaded like this one. But I do have a technician coming to the house this weekend who will hopefully help resolve this issue. But rest assured, I'm doing everything in my power to bring the live show back. But in the meantime, we're just going to do pre-uploaded episodes like this. So please, without further ado, please enjoy this episode of The Landy Lodge. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge podcast, episode 151. What a wild ride it has been. I am blessed to be joined by two fellow Kingdom Hearts content creators, as well as Coheed and Cambria sickos, but we'll save that for the back end. Anyway, guys, before we jump into it, if you just want to introduce yourselves, let the people know what you're about, where they can find you. I mean, I'll have all your links in the episode description, but feel free to just reinforce it. The floor is yours.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, my name is Jason, JK on a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we do the Kingdom Hearts podcast, Ansem Report podcast, and we have a bunch of fun. Love to stream, and that's pretty much the gist. I know I don't want to say everything because then Mike's like, "Hi, I'm Mike. I do those things too."
You were halfway through it, and I was like, "Oh no, what am I gonna say?"
So go ahead, Mike.
my name is Michael. You may know me as Michael Spaghetti, or the champion of the Kingdom Hearts 3 randomizer. Jason and I do a weekly podcast on Kingdom Hearts called the Ansem Report, like he said. We also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Super Spaghetti Bros, and we have a YouTube channel, Super Spaghetti Bros, same stuff. And we mostly make Kingdom Hearts content, but we also do some Final Fantasy. Marvel Snap's been a big thing for us recently. So we do a lot of different things, but we're so excited to finally be in the lodge, be on the Landy Lodge, dude. We've been talking about this for a long time, so thank you, Landy.
Well over a year, I would think. We've actually been we gotta make this happen. Yeah. I'm honored you guys came on. I do have a title topic I want us to talk about, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts on it.
Okay.
But before we do that, I do have a question that is quite mandatory around here that I have to ask. So why Kingdom Hearts? You guys seem like you are fans of a lot of different series, a lot of different stories, franchises. What made Kingdom Hearts stand out, and what made you choose to have what might be the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast out there? Feel free to elaborate on that, by the way.
So I'll start. I'm old. I was in high school when Kingdom Hearts came out, the original Kingdom Hearts, and I remember one of my buddies, shout out to B, he came over with the game when I was having a bunch of friends over to have a sleepover, stay the night, hang out, play video games all night, drink soda, all kind of stuff. And he brought it over, and we were just glued to it. It was like 6 dudes, and we were just all glued to this game. And I'd
like
seen
one person playing.
Right, one person playing. I'd seen the commercial, that's so effective with the Simple and Clean Planet B remix, and I was like, that game looks cool, but I didn't really think anything of it until my friend brought it over. And from then on, I was hooked, and I went and got Kingdom Hearts 2 on release day. I walked into a Best Buy, and they had this big stand of it, and played it until I couldn't play anymore, and then I think I beat it the next day, and just ever since then, it's been a thing that I've liked. I kind of fell off, like a lot of people did, with I know I played Rechain, but I missed BBS and DDD the first time and that stuff. But when Jason and I started our YouTube channel, we were like, hey, it'd be fun if we played through all the Kingdom Hearts games. And because it's something, as he'll probably tell you, it's something we shared growing up, like that we played together. And
when the collections were coming out, 1.5 and 2.5.
The collections were coming out, so we said, let's play through them all. And it really, it's probably the first thing on our YouTube channel that took off. And then we started analyzing the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers and doing all that stuff, and people were watching and engaging with us probably for the first time on our channel, and so we said, hey, let's make a podcast with my good friend Addison, who I started playing the game with. He unfortunately couldn't continue with the podcast, but it's been me and Jay ever since. And I don't know. We are the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast. I don't know that I can disclose. There's been some legal ramifications that certain podcasts have brought up to us, but that stuff I can't talk about. We got to keep that. My lawyers told me not to comment.
It's the longest running.
Yeah, we've been running the longest time, maybe possibly.
Listen, history is written by the winners, and all I'm saying is that if the Lodge wins, I got you guys. We're gonna make sure. That's history around here.
We know. It's actually really funny. Before Jay talks about how he got started, we were everybody knows Churro. He's like the grandfather of the Kingdom Hearts community, online community, and he ran Kingdom Hearts Union for a long time, which is probably actually the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast. And we were in Demo 279's Twitch chat, and we popped in, and he was like, "Oh, the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast," and you could tell Churro was like, "Wait, what? Wait, you mean Kingdom Hearts Union, right?" And Demo, to his credit, just no sold it, didn't say anything. But I was like, "Oh no, we're gonna hear from lawyers soon. We better be careful about claiming that."
Yeah, I don't know when that started. I feel like it was like in the 80s or something like that. We were just like, we got to be the longest running or some shit, right?
Oh, I thought you meant the 1980s, dude. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, that's episode 80.
Just so you know, I was like, yeah, since the 80s, these guys have been rolling it. I was gonna roll it. I was gonna roll it.
I was in the damn elevator.
So, we used to do this bit before we started doing a lot of Kingdom Hearts content where we would open loot crates, and it was kind of like, everybody was doing that kind of thing at the time, but we were like, oh, we're doing it ironically, right? We're so cool. And at the beginning of each episode of us opening a loot crate, I would go, "We are the best loot crate channel on the internet." I would just say that, and I think that's where the idea of saying we were the longest running came from. And I didn't expect people to take it seriously.
Subconsciously.
Did you grow up a pro wrestling fan?
I did.
Oh yeah.
See, that's what that is. That's what I see.
It's like a promo. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. No, I see the connection.
It works though. It works.
Yep.
Right,
because people talk about it all the time. It's one of the things people bring up the most to us is, "Hey, you guys know you're actually not the longest running?" And then I go, "Yeah, we are. What are you talking about?"
And we say it when we first said it, it was obviously a joke. We're the longest running. We would say it like that, right? Mm-hmm. But then over time, it just loses that to where people are like, "Oh, longest running." They don't know. It's their first time listening or whatever. It's like, "Oh yeah, definitely." I mean, they got 200 episodes. It makes sense. But yeah.
You actually made me nervous, Landy, when you were going to say what number we were on. Because I was like, wait, does Landy have more than us? Hold on. Wait a minute.
151, dude. It's like Pokemon Gen 1.
151, but maybe half of those aren't Kingdom Hearts related.
That's true.
Perhaps
That's
more.
true.
So, I can't claim that.
You could, though. We've proven that you could.
Yeah.
You
literally could
say it.
You've proven that I should. You've proven that I should. That's what I'm...
Maybe you should start saying it.
That's what I'm picking up. Oh,
yeah, and you can get away with it.
The second this episode ends, I'm going to be one podcast, Kingdom Hearts, 2, 3, 4, just going down the list, counting them up. And even if I come, I don't need to actually pass you guys. I just need to be within range.
Right.
Yeah. And then you just
enough to cook the books.
What's really ironic about it is we're actually probably going to be the longest running at some point, because the ones that are ahead of us are for one, Kingdom Hearts Union not doing it anymore. Got it memorized. They've stopped doing Kingdom Hearts content, and then our only competition at that point is Kingdom Smarts. But you figured they're going to stop sometime because they're just a recap podcast. Eventually, they're going to run out of Kingdom Hearts games, right?
Unless they change it pretty fundamentally, yeah.
Right. So it could happen. Who knows?
Yeah, they could.
So you're not just talking out of your ass. You've actually looked at the foresight of Kingdom Hearts podcast and be like, it's just a matter of time.
Well, we did talk out of our ass immediately. That to start it was. And then we were like, you know what? Let's look into this. Let's actually see how close we are. And then,
Took yourselves by
So don't get me wrong. It was talking out our ass to start.
Yes. Jay,
in typical wrestling promo style.
Right. Jay, I feel like I pooped all over your Kingdom Hearts discovery, so why don't you...
Oh, I didn't even start, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, obviously, Mike got them, and when he got them, I'm like, I don't know, like 6 years old, 7 years old or something when KH1 came out. And so like I just always had
We're
it. It was
brothers,
just
by
always...
the way. We didn't say that.
Oh yeah. I don't think we did. We're actually it's Spaghetti Bros. We're actually brothers.
Yeah,
so
we're actually brothers.
I get
I mean,
but anyway,
I'm just saying, after the whole pro wrestling background, I don't think people are going to believe you.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, true.
It's
we
true.
might just say anything. But yeah, so I just always had it growing up. But it's definitely, it's like a gateway drug game to like edgy anime stuff, like
Toonami
first they
energy.
rope you in with the Disney stuff, the family stuff, and then you're like doing these crazy boss fights, and they're talking about like darkness and like especially it's like the KH2 era definitely got much more edgy, right?
Oh yeah. That was the edgiest era.
Yeah, that's what really like pulled me in. And I remember like playing KH1 like as a kid, and like I probably only got past like 3 or 4 worlds or whatever. But then when I was probably like, I don't know, like 13 or something, I was going back through all of them because I had, Rechain, I had 358, 1 and 2, but just like the regular versions on PlayStation 2. And I remember I just like went through and I wanted to beat them all on proud mode or whatever. So I just went through that and then really like deep diving into the story. And at that point, all of the handheld titles were out too. So like BBS, I didn't know anything about BBS. And then like the recoded stuff or coded at that point and stuff. So I deep dove into YouTube, and then, you kind of are just like, wow, this type of stuff is really cool. And Mike and I had just like, talked about it and theorized about it, but just, one-on-one, like not on any type of YouTube or anything. And then we were like, well, we might as well record this if we're just like chilling, hanging out, talking.
Yep.
And that's kind of how it started and how we stuck around, because it just continues to be good, and we continue to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely empathize a lot with your guys' like upbringing of Kingdom Hearts. I'm a bit of a oldie myself, just turned 30 last year, so.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Thank you. Big year. But I was I always say I was like prime. I was literally like right place, right time for the series, where I was like 11 when it came out. So it was like, I was still young enough that like I was still really into a lot of those Disney properties like Aladdin and Lion King. Mm-hmm. But I was also like first really diving into like FF7 and stuff, and just seeing that freaking commercial with like Hercules and Cloud within like, and just like a Toonami intro song with Simple and Clean playing. And it was just like, oh, so like this was just made for me. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Not in a total like freaking sociopathic, egotistical way, but like I felt like the target audience. I was like, I like everything that's going on here. And I think what makes the ride the most enjoyable is it's the original content and the original characters I've fallen in love with the most.
Oh, yeah.
And like, while it might have been these properties and the whole crossover concept that reeled me in, it's not what made me stay in the slightest. And honestly, I think it's the same story for the devs, for being honest.
Yeah.
But listen, one of the things I really liked about you guys is I laid out like 4 different topics that we could do, and you're just like, we'll just vibe. Like, you guys didn't seem to really care. You're just like, whatever.
Whatever you want to talk about, dude.
I loved it. So, this is a topic I wanted to discuss for a long time about Foreteller as said. And I think, primarily what I'm talking about is back cover, if you guys are familiar enough with it.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, I think is some of the best, like, cutscene content we've ever gotten.
It's so sick.
And the dialogue is very smooth.
Where's the anime at, dude?
Yeah, for real. I'll take a whole anime that looks like that. But I find it so funny that, like, out of all the entries in the series, the dialogue flows best in back cover for some reason. But anyway.
You don't get those, like, long pauses
that's what
you
I'm
can
talking
sometimes
about.
get.
You don't even get a lot of those, like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the head nod thing. But there's a lot of that going on.
Typical anime thing, yeah.
The back cover seems to like just kind of be a little absent of that. But anyway, I often think I have to admit I often sympathize with the characters people are tough on, like Terra and Kairi. But with a said,
I love Tara.
I love Tara and Kyrie personally, but when it comes to a said, I actually think the hate on him is more unjustified than Tara and Kyrie at all.
Yeah.
And I'll just lay
Especially
out
with the context of back cover, right?
Yes. You know, he appears to be like the like rambunctious, reckless idiot, but he literally was the only one that was like essentially saying the master's luring us into a trap. You know,
Right.
if we want to save Daybreak Town, we have to defy the master's teachings. And the only other one who really went down that road was Gula. But what Gula wanted to do was open Kingdom Hearts, like commit the ultimate taboo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Just open the Pandora's
far,
box.
a little far, Gula.
yeah.
I will tell you, I don't know. I didn't want to say this when you presented the topic, but me and Jason are actually Ased stans. We
No
love
way!
him.
we love him.
Yeah.
We Ased is by far my favorite foreteller.
Tell me
yeah.
why.
Dope.
Tell us why then.
So I
He's
like
just a Giga Chad, dude. Like
One,
he's just a
yes.
Chad.
He's the best.
he's just an absolute Chad energy. He's a bear. Love bears.
Big ass guy. Yeah.
His Keyblade's dope.
Voice actor's incredible.
The voice
True.
acting's great on him. And like you said, he's the one, besides maybe Ava, who to me makes the most sense in what they're doing. Like everybody else just is, it's supposed to be like, you know, we talked when you presented the topic was Ased did nothing wrong, right? I don't know if I agree with that because I think the point of back cover is they all did.
Yeah, I'm being
Right, for sure.
hyperbolic.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
They
it didn't
all
start
did
with a
something
said.
wrong.
I think that's a better way to put it. It didn't start with the said.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a tragic story, though. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be all people that have messed up, like, and it's supposed to, no one's communicating, no one's doing what the right thing is, and so they all end up, you know, with a bad ending, right? And so it's supposed to be this tragic story. However, I think I identify with Ased and his actions more than any of the other ones, especially Gula. I have an
He's the
extreme
worst.
distaste for
He's the
Gula.
worst.
We call him Ragu in our community because we did a thing where my girlfriend was learning Kingdom Hearts because she had never been into it.
She went through the whole series.
She went through the whole
wow.
series, and when we watched back cover, she was taking notes. You know, she was super into it, and she couldn't remember Gula's name, and she called him Ragu
I love it.
because we
We
would
called
call
him
him
Goulash.
We would call him Goulash. So in her head, she said Ragu. And we just thought it was so we just go, Mr. Ragu.
Ragu.
You know?
Mr. Ragu.
Ragu.
I like it.
But yeah, we can't stand him. But Ased, dude,
He's
Ased
awesome.
did nothing wrong. I'm with you.
When
my
I feel like everybody
favorite
tries
bear
to paint him like he's the instigator or whatever, right? Just
Yeah,
because he's like the
because
big
he's-
guy,
yes.
he's big menacing guy or
So
whatever.
misunderstood. He's the
Yeah.
bear. He's the teddy bear.
My
Right.
favorite voice line, and we always talk about it on, like, we'll say it on stream whenever people bring up a set, is the like, "What was your role? You tell me." He's
You
like,
tell me. No, but like he's got so many beggars like that. Like I absolutely love when he's trying to form the alliance with Gula and
Oh, yeah.
Ava, and Ava's like not about it, and Ased's literally like, "That's okay. You should do whatever your heart says it's right." Like not like, "No, you have to join us, Ava." Just like right away, like, "Oh, is that what your heart says, Ava? Then I'm not gonna get in the way of that." And like I feel
Right.
like that's a part that gets overlooked so much.
True.
You know,
For a large, angry bear man, he's very reasonable.
as reasonable as
He's a large, angry bear man. He could do
be.
whatever he wanted. You know,
That's true.
he could just
Yeah.
strike everybody down, you know, but he doesn't. He's reasonable.
You know, he does kind of use it as a last resort. I'll say he kind
Right.
of snaps on Gula at the end, but I feel like we all feel the same way about
Justified.
Gula.
It's justified,
Yeah.
though, you know.
Also, in my head canon, like, Ased, like, rinses, like, everybody in a one-on-one, dude.
Dude, it was 3-on-1 and he held up.
Yeah.
He held
Yeah.
up.
He's a beast.
Also, can we just talk about how kind of sus it is? Did you guys notice that, like, Gula kind of giggles at, like, almost the notion that, like, everyone's ganging up on Ased? You kind of know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? And I'm just like, what the hell is that about?
Well, you know, when you're
He's scheming.
right. Well, here's how I saw it is, you know, I grew up a large kid, you know what I mean? I was like 6 foot in like 6th grade, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I would get picked on by these tiny kids that were like, hey, you're big,
Napoleons.
I'm gonna make fun of you,
Yeah.
right? And then
It doesn't
you
make
know,
sense, but they do.
They do it, and then they'd get punched in the face for it, and then I'd get in trouble because I was bullying them, right? That's Ased. He's getting bullied by Gula. and that's why he's like, hey,
He
we're
sticks
ganging
up for
on you.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
He-
Against all odds, and like he always has like something nice to say to somebody. Like there was a point,
Right.
like with Ira, he's like, "Well, this is why I respect you so much," you know. And like I actually feel him when he thinks Ira would be a great leader, and he feels genuinely let down by him. You know?
No, I agree. I agree.
And like the Master's like totally sets him up too, dude. Because it's like, you're gonna be the right hand man, and he's like, I feel like I could do more though. And he's like, nah. When Ira, he's gonna have a point where he's gonna falter, and that's when you need to step up. But like, he's gonna read it as, okay, now you need to lead. But it might mean something else. But he gets just set up by the Master of Masters, dude. Everybody else, I feel like, makes like clear, just bad decisions. Whereas I feel like he was definitely set up, at least more so than the others.
Well, the Master kind of gave him a bit of a wink and a nod. Where it's like, hey, you need someone to push him in the right direction.
Let me poke you with the elbow a bit,
exactly. Kind of saying like, yeah, Ira's the leader, as said, but you're gonna be the one that kind of pushes him in the direction he needs to go in. Almost kind of saying like you're the thought leader. You're almost like the spiritual leader of the Foretellers. You know?
Yeah, you're the real leader.
He did, like if there's anything that I suppose Ased could be guilty of, it is I suppose a sense of hubris. But at the same time, his desire to rebel against the Master is, I feel like other Foretellers like Ava eventually get there, but way before it's like too late. Ava gets there when she has that sort of confrontation with Lushu, and little does she know that's literally what starts the Keyblade War, so she fell into the trap. Whereas I feel like Ased uniquely was sort of this preemptive one who was like, hold on, we're being led into a trap. Something isn't right here. If we want to save Daybreak Town, we got to defy the Master's teachings. I almost wonder if the Master kind of knew Ased was going to be on to him, and knew that by giving Ira that push or any push in that direction would create division. You kind of know what I'm saying?
Right. No, for sure.
Like already saying like, oh yeah, Ira's going to mess up, dude, but you need to be there when he's going to mess up.
Right.
Yeah. And he's kind of right when they have that meeting and Ira immediately accuses someone of being a traitor, and Ased is like, how, that's foolish that you would just accuse somebody in this room of being a traitor, like before actually, like, I forget his exact line, but I think essentially what he's trying to say is like, hey, by you just accusing everybody in this room, you only made everything worse. And then when you find out, like in the Union Cross finale, when the Master's talking to Lushu and he's like, oh, I told everybody there was a traitor to create that sort of instigation. Like it was sort of the spark. So by Ira bringing it up in that room, that literally is like the spark that almost kind of creates the traitor in a sense, or it creates everybody's fear of the traitor, thereby coveting more darkness and more nightmares and all that sort of stuff. So it's just crazy to see it play out almost like immediately when they're in that room.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's exciting to me about, the possibility of, these guys are going to be in KH4, right? The chess boards there. And I'm just excited because back cover is so well done, and a lot of their cutscenes in Union Cross when they're featured are well done. It's exciting to finally get to, the bottom of everything with these guys that we're going to see in KH4. That's something I'm really excited for.
Yep. I think they're some of the more interesting characters we've ever gotten, just because they're all so obviously flawed. You know what I mean? But I feel like they're all also so headstrong. Like, it kind of makes sense that this is like the Master's chosen, right? That these are his chosen foretellers, and now we know he wants to encase darkness with them, but it takes like a strong heart of light. And again, even though they all kind of wear their, what would you say? Their faults on their
heart
sleeve.
On their sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
Their heart on their sleeve.
Exactly, their heart on their sleeve. You can see the sort of like boldness they all share. The sort of like, I don't want to say studiousness, but the leadership qualities they all share. And, not that a lot of characters in Kingdom Hearts aren't leaders. There are, but they're very few and far between. Like, I feel like every trio kind of has their leader, but it doesn't really go far beyond that. Whereas I feel like with the Foretellers, they all kind of have this leadership quality to them. You know, they were all union leaders in their own right.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be leading all these kids and teaching them, so it makes sense that when you put them in a room together, they're all these gigantic personalities that don't necessarily get along.
And they clash.
And the only reason they have gotten along is because the Master of Masters has kind of been there to make sure they do. And then he disappears and does all this manipulative stuff with them, and then, of course, it's going to explode. It's like a powder keg, you know?
Exactly. Almost
Yeah, it's like
a
the
perfect
power
storm.
vacuum.
Yep.
Yeah. That power vacuum just sucks them all into fighting each other and everything. I also like that, like, every single leader, even though, like, I hate Gula, I can, they're still all, like, believable as leaders, too, right? Like you were saying, there's kind of leaders in the trios, but they definitely need to get there. Like, they definitely have a character arc of needing to get to that part where they're, like, resolute in what they believe. Whereas, like, it feels like, for the most part, all the leaders, they just believe what they believe, like, instantly, and they're like resolute in what they believe, and they will just do whatever it feels they need to do to achieve whatever goal or whatever they think is right. Whereas it definitely feels like it takes a while for, you know, like Sora to really think about, okay, what does he want to do, what is right, or like same thing with like Terra or Aqua, or like these characters, like they take time to get to that leadership point, or like that they know what they know is right. Whereas the Foretellers, they're just like, this is right, full mast, straight ahead, you know.
Well, that's
So I think those are really cool.
and that's why I can't help but think there's just going to be so much division between the Foretellers. Like, I think they are going to split in who's going to keep going with the Master's plan and who eventually is going to turn over or turn to a different side. Like, Envy and Era, I think, follow the Master to the end, especially Envy. I think
could see that.
I think if you're going to pick like the last one to turn on the Master, it would 100% be Envy.
I could see that.
You know, she in a lot of ways like she has a very benign envy of the Master, like an admiration for him. You know, like you even see it in her scene where she gets the role and she's like, you know, without you or Luciu around, that's really unnerving. You know, no one else kind of expresses that sort of nervousness but her, which shows like she's really dependent on having him around. As far as Era and Envy easily, I think, would ride or die with the Master. Luciu could go either way. Like I think Luciu reaches a point where he's literally only out for himself. I think that's where
he might be the last one, but he's like a double agent. Like he's really in it for himself or something.
That
right?
I really get.
Last.
I get those vibes from him. I really do. I feel like he's such a wild card in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, it's what he's done when, you know, now that we know he's been with us throughout, it's what he's done the whole time, you know. It's he wasn't really working for Zay and Order Zemnis, but he wasn't, you know. He's just constantly been that kind of guy. So it would make sense if he continues that. And you
I kind of hope he does.
Me too.
It would be strange for him to suddenly just, you know, be completely loyal to the Master of Masters at this point, you know.
I wouldn't really
I could see it
buy
both ways.
I could see him being loyal to the Master, but for his own means. You know, like you think about, you got to think about how the trajectory Luciu is on, right? Like that scene where he's with the Master, he's getting his role. He's like timid and skittish, like ew, and like, you know, stuff like that. And then just look at what he's turned into. Like, and consider and like follow that trajectory and just like keep going through Kingdom Hearts 4, 5, however many they're going to be. You know, and like he wears it on his face too. That's so much what I like about the character is like the wear and tear on Luciu is obvious with the missing eye, the scars, like you see it. And, you know, I talked about this on my last episode, but it's like he has such a detachment from any form of identity, right?
Yeah.
Like he gets summoned back and he gets referred to as Luciu. He's like, I haven't heard that name in a long while. These days they call me Zigbar, but, you know, whatever suits you. Like he just does it. Like I often make the comparison, like that's why he wields the no-name Keyblade. Because he has no identity. He's nothing. He's just this fluid. He's Luciu, then he's Braggy, then he's Braig, then he's Zigbar. No name. Just keep going. Whatever suits you.
Man, it's pretty crazy they did the Braggy Braig thing. Because it was so obvious. it was so obvious that everybody was like, well, there's no way.
There's no way it's braggy, right? Like,
They really got
And it's
us,
funny,
man.
if you go back through Dark Road, they weren't just giving it away in, like, his name. He has some lines, too, that give it away where, like, he's on trial with, like, the Queen of Hearts, and, like, he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, trespassing, I can accept guilt for that, but everything else, no. And it's like, like, you know, it's right there.
typical lose you line. Yeah.
It's right
Nick Bar
there.
line.
But he's such a wild one, man. He's one I could see going either way. Gula and Ava, I could actually both see turning on the Master. I could see, even though the Gula was like so desperate to have him back, I actually think in the long run, Gula will end up more loyal to Ava than the Master.
I think he's gonna have contempt for him for sure. Like, you left us type thing.
Yeah.
You set us up. Like, I definitely think that.
Especially when you consider Ava.
Luju,
Yeah.
the one thing with Lucio I could see is, like, if he's just had it so ingrained in his brain, like, follow the mission, follow the mission, follow the mission, like, this is what I've been doing for an unknown amount of years for him to be there. But then I could see, like, in Cage 4, if he was like that, I wouldn't have issue with it. But if then he still was in, like, titles after that, it would be a little bit weird to me.
Well, I think that might be something that happens in like the third act of Cage 4 where
right.
it's tropey, but Luju realizes that what the Master's total plan was and goes, wait, this is what I've been doing this for this whole time? You know, so I could see that, you know, changing then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. When he's going to feel like he's been carrying the heaviest load the whole time because
Right,
he's
right.
actually had to exist.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else has just been asleep, basically.
Moving,
right?
dude,
Like,
moving from body to body, from time to time, from era to era, and then you consider everything
Yeah.
with like Subject X that he's got going on. He's lived. I like. It'll never happen. I don't. At the risk of getting anyone's hopes up, man, a Lushu game would just be so amazing.
That'd be
Like,
cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see.
It would be cool.
Or an
but-
anime.
Or an anime, or you know, I think we're headed down that road because if you look at Square Enix, they've made a World Ends with You anime. They're making a Nier anime. They've made like some Final Fantasy anime content. You know, whether you're talking about the FF15 stuff or FF7 Last Order. I think it's possible we get a Kingdom Hearts anime.
Yeah.
It worries me though. It worries me. I don't know.
In what way?
Well, for this one doesn't worry me as much as the next part I'll bring up, but one, I don't want any focus or budget taken away from the games. You know what I mean? I almost understand why you're doing this for Nier, because it creates an easier entry point, and it's one of the more niche series they want to elevate. You know, kind of the same idea with World Ends With You for people who didn't want to play the
Right.
original on the Switch and just tap their screen the whole time. You could watch this anime, get the gist, and play Neo. It kind of seems like they might be doing that for Nier. Like, maybe you missed out on Automata, watch this anime, and then you could play the next game we're going to release. You know, while Kingdom Hearts could really benefit from something like that, if they're going to do an anime, it would have to be, to me, something that's already been written, like Union Cross. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, don't tread new This is getting into the next thing I'm worried about, is like, don't tread new ground with that anime. Because then I feel like there's almost...
What if it was like...
Go ahead.
What if it was almost like a retread, but like from another perspective, right? Like
Kingdom Hearts
or
1
like,
from Riku's perspective?
This is like a... Or like a gap period, like a small gap, right?
Okay.
Like, have you seen the FF15 anime?
Yeah.
Yeah, so akin to that, where it's like, you know, you go from this place to this place, and then there's just like the gap that it kind of fills in. That's like during the game, pretty much, right? Like that you just it was like happened off screen or like leading up to it.
So you know how like they did like that like episode about Prompto, right? And you got like this whole Prompto backstory. It's like, oh, that's why he admires Noctis so much. If you want to do stuff like that and like show us the off-screen stuff. Like, okay, so for instance, let's say Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, we don't get one Aqua Kairi training cutscene, and we all rage against Nomura and Square Enix. But what if there was just like a 15, 20-minute anime episode, like what they did with 15, that covers that? That I could get into. I think
That'd
where
be
you
sick.
get where you get tricky is like, imagine Missing Link was an anime instead. And I know some people might prefer that.
Like it's all brand new story, pretty much.
Right. I don't want anything to really debut in a show. That's where I think things can get sticky, because then you almost run the risk of running into like a Full Metal Alchemist situation where the original manga was just outrunning the original anime was outrunning the manga, so they had to spin off and do their whole other thing, and now that anime is still good, don't get me wrong, but it's not considered the definitive version, right? Because Brotherhood is loyal to the author's manga, shot for shot, story beat for story beat, and I almost feel like you almost start to run that risk. And that's why I like that when Square has decided to do these animes, they're retreading World Ends With You 1, they're retreading Nier Automata. If they were to do it, I'd love that. I would just get nervous because, again, remember, it's not just Square we're contending with here, it's Disney. And I would just get nervous that could just snowball out of hand. And now you have this pocket of the story that Nomura's not as involved with. Right? Because I'm sure he'd be involved.
Like, how much would he have creative control? Like, I'm sure he would have input for sure.
And how much could he handle
narratively?
Yeah, and you have to consider he's working on the FF7 trilogy. He's working on the new Kingdom Hearts games. There's like 3 of them being made. Like,
when you want it to be additive too, like you don't want it to take him away from things.
I don't think it. I think if they do it, it would be not what we're looking for. I think it would be more. It's a retelling of Kingdom Hearts 1, but it's not canon, and it's, goofy stuff that Sora's doing with Donald and Goofy, and that's if they do anything, I think that's what they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna say, hey, here's a retelling of Kingdom Hearts 1, but here's some backstory on how Riku fell to darkness with Mufasa. I don't think they're gonna do that. I know that's like against everything that Nomura has done with Kingdom Hearts, where every single thing that he does matters to the story. But I think at that point, that's going to be a Disney thing. I don't think it's going to be like Square Enix will obviously.
What if it was like?
Hey, see, you're answering my question now when you ask, like, oh, so what makes you a little nervous about that? Right. What you're saying right there is exactly what makes me nervous.
Well, and I think that's what it would be. Like, I can't see them saying like, hey, and if it was like you said with Nier and with The World Ends With You, they don't have to worry about Disney in those because they're just Square Enix's properties, right?
Yes.
I think because of the Disney-ness of it, they go, hey, this would be a good way to print some extra money, right? Let's make this serialized Kingdom Hearts cartoon where it's maybe not even like it's anime style, but it's not an anime.
And you run the risk where it's like, you have Disney now, whatever you think about these live-action remakes is your business. But they're doing it because they're renewing their copyrights. And they're going to do this with all of their IP. Every 30, 40 years, they're going to remake something so they could renew the IP, renew the copyright. If you let Kingdom Hearts be a vessel for that, I could see that, again, another thing kind of getting out of hand quickly, which is why ultimately, if this happens, it has to be a Square Enix thing. But I'm not sure that's possible with this being a shared property. I'm not sure Disney's just going to let Square Enix put out whatever anime they want using their properties. Right. They're not going to want, like, you get my, I guess I've made my point at this point.
No.
Yeah, no, I totally
get it. If Disney made the anime, then a said would be wrong.
Yeah.
Because Disney is anti-bear, and we all know Disney's anti-bear. We know that.
The way I see it is this, right, is Disney, has been this, huge mega conglomerate for a long time. And if you go to Disney, if Square Enix Mr. Square Enix knocks on Mr. Disney's door and goes, hey, I want to make this cartoon. Mr. Disney goes, wait a minute, we do cartoons. Why are you going to do a cartoon? We know how to do cartoons. Let us do the cartoon. Because when it's video games, Disney goes, yeah, we've tried video games. We're not good at that. We're not good at that. You guys are good at that. So that's why it works for Kingdom Hearts to be something that Disney, while they're still involved, it's not their thing. But you go to them and say, hey, we want to do a cartoon, and they go, yeah, we do cartoons. Come on, we'll come in here, we'll do a cartoon, and it's going to be.
It still prints them a check too,
right? Exactly.
Whereas, like, if you do it without the Disney aspect of it, is it really Kingdom Hearts at that point? And also, like, is Disney getting a check still, even if there's no Disney in it? Like, then there's just like a whole bunch of
they have
questions
to work
at that
something
point.
out. Yeah,
the original characters are technically a Disney property, so Sora and all his buddies, although. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Square purchases those rights. I don't think it's likely, but I think if Square had the opportunity, I think they'd shell out a lot of money to do it. But, oh God, what was I about to say? I had a good point, but I forgot it. So if either one of you have something to say, feel free to talk over me.
Yes.
That's how it goes.
The podcast mind blank.
The podcast mind blank. But that's what title topics are for. You can always round it back out there. So
true.
I guess, let me ask you this. if you were to predict the future trajectory of Aced, how do you think it plays out with him moving forward? Do you think he just forgets all the Foretellers ganged up on him like that? Do you think he just forgets Gula setting him up? Like, this is the thing about the Foretellers that intrigues me to kind of get back into them and like their clashing leadership qualities is like, where do they go from here? They're all standing there in the graveyard,
Right.
but like none of them really seemed thrilled about the reunion. None of them were like,
Yeah.
Era, dude! Like, oh, you made it! You know, like, it's all like it's almost like we're in an interrogation room all over again at that round table.
Right.
You
Aced
know?
actively seems angry to be there, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the Luju. What was your role? You tell me,
Yeah.
right?
Why are we here? Like, what the hell is going on?
Why did you summon us? Like,
There's got to be something compelling them to work together, right? Whether it's something the Master of Masters does, whether it's even just finding out the truth, right? Because that's Aced's main concern is, hey, what was your role? You tell me. And there's got to be something in that story that Luju tells them that makes them go, oh, this is what we have to do together. We have to work together. Because otherwise, it could end up being, something as simple as, they're brainwashed by the Master of Masters, which would be boring. That'd be
very boring.
Hopefully that's not what they're doing. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing based on that cutscene, right? So there's got to be something in Luju's story that makes them have to work together.
What makes this worth it? Like,
Right.
what makes our sacrifice that we did worth it? Like, everything that we did.
And
Like, did it work? What's the truth, right?
right.
Do you think? Do you think that's ultimately what the black box is about? That maybe what's in the black box is kind of what unites them.
I could see
It's got to
that.
be something like that. Yeah. The black box thing is just so. It's such a thing at this point where it's like, what could possibly be in that damn box that has anybody excited, right?
Right.
Like, no matter what is actually in that box, half of people are going to be disappointed. Like, there's no way they can live up to what they've done with this box at this point, right? So, I don't know with the box. It could be what drives them. I don't think it's just going to be a complete red herring, but I feel like there's nothing in that box that is going to make us go, oh, that's what was in the box. No way. Like, that. It's just, there's no way. Like,
It would be
Master
tough to
Master's
pull off.
eye or something, you know.
It would be tough
So
to pull off. That's for sure.
If Nomura surprises me by what's in the box, I don't know what I'll do.
If he surprises us with it, like, I'm just like standing ovation, like, this is the best series ever made, bar none. Like,
but
I'm always
no
singing
way.
the praises and bowing down. But yeah,
it's been
it's a
hyped
tall
up
order.
so much. It's like, what could possibly be in there?
It's like
$1 million?
But you know what it is?
You know?
Maybe
$1 million for the Super Spaghetti Bros,
Yeah,
the
then I'll
Landy
be
Lodge.
Do you know-
Then I'm. Let's
do you
go.
know? Do you know what kind of approach I'd actually really love? Have you guys seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
The suitcase.
Not in a long time.
You never know what's in Marcellus Wallace's suitcase, but every time it's opened, there's like this bright light, and everyone looks
Yeah.
in it and is like, oh, it's beautiful. And they never tell you what's in it. I almost think, because I love it when
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts answers a mystery. I would love it if there was just one thing they never tell us outright. And it's like,
You know
we're-
how many people would be mad about that, though, Landy?
There'd be
I
people
love it, dude. I love it so much.
I love that idea, but do you know how many people that love Kingdom Hearts would be so angry? I can see HMK's thumbnail right now, dude. Like, there would be so many people that would be mad about that. Like, that would be ridiculous. It's a great idea. I
agree with you. There are people who would not like that. As much as maybe we might, there are some people who would not like. Some people want answers, you know?
I think Nomura, it would be so tough for him to pull that off, and he's just going to get harassed by people, which is sad.
Yeah.
But man,
I think he's accepted that's going to happen to him no matter
That's
what
true.
he does. He gets shit about games writing that he had nothing to do
True.
with. Like, it's like he cannot win. Like, if you listen to him in interviews, if I ever met him, I might tell him I'm a little upset with him because I think he has a Twitter burner account. You cannot convince me. You listen to this man. You cannot convince me he doesn't have a burner account. He's out here like, I thought everyone hated you, Zora. And I'm like, what are you reading?
Yeah.
Who, like, he said that in an interview. He was like, "Oh, I got the impression that nobody really liked him," and I'm like, "Who are you listening to? What gave you that impression?" You know, and like even with things like bringing Roxas and Shion back, he's like, "Yeah, I saw the fan base really loved him." I'm like, "Yeah." I don't remember the poll. You guys remember the poll? Hey, who do you want to see come back? I don't remember any poll. He's out there. He's
just
snooping.
on his burner account.
Yeah, he saw everyone mad. There were no Final Fantasy characters. He's like, put him in Remind and put him there for 10 seconds. They'll get over it. Trust me. I'm telling you. I think he's got a burner account.
I agree. I agree with that idea that he has a burner account somewhere. Like
somewhere.
Most definitely.
Or he's got someone in his close circle, like his family or his friends that do, and they go, "Hey man, did you see what they were saying about you on Twitter?" You know?
That's why I think it's I don't know who it is, but there's this one game dev. Oh, Treehouse brought him up on my stream, and like if you speak English, he just blocks you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want all my Japanese devs to do that.
Who is that? I know who you're talking
is
about.
Is it the Tekken dev? Is it the Tekken dev? I can't remember his name.
I don't think it's the Tekken dev.
Yeah. I am not the authority on this information, so no one should listen to me right now. But there is a guy
I thought it might
who
have been
does this.
SMT. I don't know.
I don't think it was Atlas.
The SMT guy?
I don't know if it was Atlas or SMT. Why do I felt like it might have been a fighting game. Or like
I thought it was like
game.
a more of like a story game, like a.
Honestly,
No, but
more,
like I hear
more
his
than one
Twitter
of this
gets
guy.
deactivated. His Twitter gets deactivated because he like unfollows and blocks people like in mass.
Yes,
so, like,
the
his
same
Twitter
guy.
gets
The
deactivated.
same guy because I think it's
Yeah,
a bot.
yeah.
But you know what? I bet more than one of them exist. I bet you there's
sure,
one in
yeah.
every studio.
That's just the guy we hear about. There's other guys that are doing that for
These
sure.
other guys.
I don't blame them, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude,
maybe not for just speaking English, but like,
Imagine there was a platform of people telling you how to do your job. Like, I don't know what you guys
Right.
do for a
Right.
living, but imagine you couldn't go on social media without people telling you how to do your job.
oh
Yeah.
my god, I'd be infuriated. Dude. And especially
Live
like
in the mountains. I just run
like Mira's definitely conditioned himself to it because like what he said about Dark Road with the two female animators. And you're like, this guy is like trying to protect these people by saying, hey, there's only 2 people here and they're women, by the way. So please leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Don't
so
harass
sad.
them.
Don't harass them. It's so sad that he feels like he has to do that, but it's the truth. Like, people are just.
Well, people can be
so
brutal,
nutty
man.
online.
People can
Right.
be brutal. Listen, like some fun, like jerk off Twitter beef can be a good time. Like 2 people just like messing around. Like, don't get me
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, say, like I like to tease people, say I'm a KH3 supremacist. It triggers 1 in every 10 Kingdom Hearts fans, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And me and that guy, we get into an argument. We have some fun. We say some laughs. You know, we talk some shit. It's a great time.
Right.
But there's so much to that that's like just vile. Like some of it just gets so vile. Like, are you guys FF7 fans by chance?
Oh my God. Don't.
Yeah, we don't have to get into
Twitter,
it.
It's
We
a
don't-
place you don't want to go.
It's so sad because 99% of the fan base is just not that. But there's just like
they're just normal people. Yeah.
But there's just like 400 people out there that just love to just air everything out. But again, I'm not knocking the fan base. I love the FF7 fan base. I actually some of the
careful,
cool.
Andy.
I do got to be careful. I do got to be careful. Be
careful.
But like
They're listening.
I love a lot of the people I've met there. But some people are bonkers. Some people are bonkers.
Don't say anything bad about Zach, Landy.
Oh, I mean, first of all, I would never. But I will tell y'all, yeah, him and Aerith, Cloud and Tifa. You may not like it.
Oh no.
You may not like it. You may not like it.
You guys can't see it. There's a red beam on my forehead. Right now because of what Landy
Based, by
said.
the way. Based, by the way.
Yeah, great answer, but still, it's scary.
What a world that just like by saying the canonical thing, you're like base dad now.
Right. Well, and that's
I'm sorry if you play
play,
FF7, Cloud and Tifa bang under the ship. Like I'm like these are just the facts.
it's true. It's true. We were playing Crisis Core Reunion on stream, and it was funny because we don't have like a huge FF7 like fan base other than like the typical FF7 fans, not like the crazy ones that are like arguing about ships and stuff. But I started to speak. I was playing, and Jason, I think, went to the bathroom or something. But I started to speak my dislike of the story because I have no connection to Crisis Core. I'm just playing the remaster for the first time, like that story. I know like vaguely what happens, but I'm not.
But it's your first real venture, like kind of through it all.
Right. I don't know a ton about Genesis. I don't know Angel. I don't know this stuff. And I'm getting to the point where I'm like, this story is so dumb. And even though our chat isn't like these big FF7, they were like, well, Mike, you're wrong because so even
I'd be that
just
guy,
saying,
though. I'd be in there too. Like, let me tell you something, Mike.
Mike, the thing is though about Genesis, and I'm like, why
you just
do they
don't
need
get
to
it.
do this?
Actually, and objectively, you're wrong. That would be me. I'd be that guy. No, but it's some of the goofiest that FF7 gets. That's for sure. There's no denying that in Crisis Core. It's some of the goofiest the series gets.
And there's some like retcon stuff, or at least
Right.
as far as I understand it. I'm like,
well, and
this
I
isn't how I remember this.
I started to make the point that like this is the stuff people try to pin on Nomura, but it's actually other people in Square Enix that do it.
It's more Nojima Kitase than it is Nomura.
Right. The really nonsense stuff. People go, this is Nomura eyes, and it's like Kingdom Hearts never did anything this batshit crazy. Like,
no, can I tell you my favorite thing? My favorite thing is people going, "What? FF7 has a bunch of timelines now? What is this, Kingdom Hearts?" And I'm like, Kingdom Hearts has one timeline. It's only ever been one timeline. Like, it just
oh man. Poor Nomura, dude. People just want to just take him to task for this stuff, and it's like
it's sick.
It's the whole company.
And it's not just jerk-offs on Twitter. You've got, like, major video game publication websites doing this. And it's just like, oh, my God.
And then they go, oh, we're really sorry. We have corrected the article. But they leave the tweet up.
Yeah.
They leave the tweet up saying that it's Nomura. It's like, what? Delete the tweet. What are you doing?
Well, again, a lot of clicks. It's all about the clicks.
Exactly.
They love the fact that guy messed it up. They might have even done it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because for all of us idiots that clicked on that file, they made ad money. Like at the end of the day.
Well, I don't, maybe this is the guy who grew up watching pro wrestling, but hey, that's good business. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you did that on purpose,
if you're a good heel, you're a good heel.
If it puts butts in seats, so to speak, then yeah, man, it's the way to go.
And if you can handle the boos of the crowd, if you can handle getting smashed in the retweets, you could do a lot for a company. Imagine that was a job where, like, listen, we're hiring you because we need someone to take hits in the retweets.
That's somewhat like what a community manager is, honestly.
That's
like
you're not wrong.
You're just dealing with the crazies on the forums and in the Twitter comments and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel bad. You know who deserves all the love in the world? And I actually think like whatever like tax return Twitch gets, these people deserve a payout. Modders who prevent spoilers are
true.
Like that is like not only one of the hardest jobs in the world, depending on the series you're playing, could be one of the toughest jobs in the world. Because it's I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with this like in a stream. And I can admit sometimes I could be guilty of this, like when my wife's playing a game, but like someone who's like, "Oh, you're up to this part," and it's like
that happened to us. That literally just happened to us with Dark Road.
Yeah,
it just happened.
And it's like, dude, I was ready to just get side swipes. You know what I mean? Blindsided, and now you got me anticipating. You know,
someone when they were doing the Bragi reveal, someone came in our chat and said, "As if," and I saw it and I went, "Oh no," and then
we're
someone
like,
else said
"Really,
it,
dude?"
And it was like, come on, man.
How could that's so cringe? I actually think this might be hyperbolic. I think that shit is demonic. To take that from someone, to take those, you only get one Dark Road. You know what I mean?
Right.
You only get one first hit.
To be fair, I kind of had that idea anyway. At that point, I was like, okay, they're gonna reveal that he's Luigi right now, right? But still,
Jason, it still takes away your anticipation, right?
But imagine they did that to you at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 when you see the no-name drop in the graveyard and you see a hand pick it up and someone just said "as if" and you're just like
right before. Yeah.
Well, and I've gotten more, Jason, we recently played God of War for the first time, which I'd played it before, so I knew what was happening, but Jason had never played God of War. And the moment, I'm not going to spoil it because I don't know who's played it and who hasn't, but there's a moment where you learn some things about some characters, and I just emote mode instantly. I was just like, boom, only emotes. I don't want nobody saying anything, And so that's something, because of that Dark Road scenario, I've been like very sensitive to
You
that.
learn your lesson as a streamer, for sure.
go ahead.
It's funny because I was watching one of our buddies, Tatsumaki. Shouts to Tatsumaki. This was like a year ago at this point or longer. He was playing FF7 for the first time. He had never played it. And he's getting to the part that everybody where the certain
The disc
character-
one part.
The
yeah.
part-
the disc one part.
The part.
And like
the end of Rebirth.
he's not even
yep.
in the city of the ancients yet, right? And people are like,
No.
"Oh, it's coming
No,
up.
no.
It's coming up. Get ready." And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not even a mod in this chat, but I was in the chat going, "What is wrong with all of you? Shut up!" Like,
Right.
like, are you kidding me? Like, shut
Demonic.
up.
To take that
Yeah.
from
Terrible.
someone. You know how many hours Tatsumaki played to get to that point? Like,
Right.
Right.
Well, and he didn't. To be fair, they weren't like spoiling it, but they were just like saying, "Oh, get ready, something's about to happen," and it's like, come on,
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Even that
yeah.
is the worst thing you could do. I get you're excited to see someone see this for the first time, but then shut up, let them do it, and then get excited and go, "Oh, you totally didn't know, LOL," whatever you want to say at that point, but let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, don't ruin it, And so I see that all the time on Twitch. It's crazy. So yeah, shout out to those mods. We have some
True.
good mods.
Bless 'em.
That stop that kind of stuff from happening. I mean, they weren't around when the Dark Road one happened, but otherwise they do a really good job of stopping that thing. But it's crazy how people just want to spoil that for people. I'll never understand that.
And you know what it is? Like, they don't want to spoil it for you. They just want to so desperately be part of it. And people
Yeah.
like hype. People really like hype. I think obsessing over hype is a one track to like hype becoming stale, because if you're just hyped for everything, are you actually hype at all? But people like to be hyped up. And they like to feel that. And I understand, like, you want to get the streamer hype, like, hey, something's coming, dude. And like, ideally you want the streamer to be like, wait, what? Oh, what? But it so rarely ever becomes that, because again, like I think about me playing FF7 as a kid in my bedroom on my like 13-inch square TV, like tube TV.
And some neckbeard just bursts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and says, "Wait, this thing's gonna happen."
Wait till you see this, dude! Like it's so unnatural.
You're not ready.
It's just like not part of like the normal experience, which I guess Twitch is anything but normal. But like,
Yeah.
it's like it's such a new thing, and that's why it's like normally I won't play a game for the first time on stream. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll allow it. Like Neo: The World Ends With You was so niche. I was like, I don't think anyone would spoil this for me. I think
Yeah.
Not that so few people have played this game, but like it's not Aerith's death in FF7. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It's not.
Well,
Go ahead.
and what those people don't get that are like wanting to be a part of it, and they're like they want hype and stuff like that, is that if you just don't say anything, your own anticipation for their reaction is going to be more hype and more fun. Like, I remember being in like a Discord, like watching one of our friends play a game, and I knew something crazy was about to come up, and we're both like, "Oh shit, they ain't ready, they ain't ready." But we're just saying it to ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's what makes it more hype. More like you're literally even robbing yourself of it because you're like, the moment's gonna happen. But then you're like, come on, bruh.
Well, especially a moment like that from FF7 where it's like, there's no introduction needed. They're gonna go, what the, you know what I mean? Like that's just, there's a reason that moment is one of the most like startling like things. And maybe nowadays, if you're playing it for the first time, it's a little dated. But like even then, I think you get tied into that character, and you don't. JRPGs still don't do that really, where they kill off a character you can control.
No.
Or halfway through the game, not even halfway. So it's not something that needs your like hype attached to it. It's gonna be a moment no matter what, and you're just spoiling it a little bit with that. So
and again, I think a lot of these people come from a good place. And again, I recognize that I myself have done this before too, but being in that situation, having something like that happen makes you go like, huh, even just like someone letting you know something's coming kind of pulls you away from it a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It gets you out, unimmersed. It takes you out of it. Well, and it's funny, you said that you do that with your wife sometimes. I definitely do this with my girlfriend when we're watching a movie. Like, if it's a movie I've seen, I'll, like, look at her, like, before something's like...
That's why I can kind of understand. Because, like, I've had that too, where she's like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, what's about to happen?
that's like an involuntary reaction that I'm doing. It's not typing out a whole sentence on a keyboard and going send.
And then
That's a good point.
smacking the enter button.
It's not like I'm texting her from across the room, like,
Right. Oh, I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, watch the scene.
You just
Send it to her.
you just take out your phone and you're just like putting it in their face with the light
Recording
on.
her.
Yeah,
I think
with
I'm
the
gonna-
light on and everything.
oh God. All right. So
Yeah, I do think those people are coming for a good place. You're right. They're coming from a good
for the
place.
most,
Because they
for
want
the
you to
most
like
part.
it. They want you to like it.
They want to share and like that's what makes like content creation so cool is that we get to share
Right.
our love of these things. Like I grew up, I had things I could share with my friends, like video game wise. Like I had a lot of friends who were into Zelda and stuff, but like I never really had any like friends in my inner circle that were into Kingdom Hearts. So by like
Same.
by proximity of this channel, and like you guys understand, by proximity of this channel and all this content, I now have tons of people I can talk Kingdom Hearts with. They
Yeah.
may not be my friends from my hometown, but now I feel like I actually can share my love of this with people, some friends, audience, everything. Like it's just like it's the coolest thing, and I feel so lucky to live in a time where that's the case, right? Because
Same.
Yeah.
monoculture's dead now, right? It used to be like, oh, everybody went to see Star Wars. Oh, everybody went to see Endgame, which I really think might be the last like monoculture event that we're ever
Right.
going to have. Because I think the internet makes everything so accessible, and even the most niche things you can imagine have passionate fan bases somewhere out there willing to bask in that love with you,
Right. Yeah, I would argue No Way Home actually was after Endgame. I think that had this big
Close.
cultural moment where it was close.
Close.
I don't think we're ever going to get a Marvel movie like that again. I can tell you that. Even when they do the Secret Wars and all that, I just don't think it's going to live up to the same.
quite be that level. I would agree,
Yep.
Do you think we ever have... the last thing I could think of is like Game of Thrones too, but then that one just
Yeah.
fell out of it,
Yep.
It's hard for me to think of anything that can come... And it's not a...
Well,
Go ahead.
you even have like this Wednesday stuff that's big, that show's big and on TikTok, but it's still not on the level of like, there's like 3 things going on like that or 4 things going on like that right now. So
Yeah.
you're right. It's not. Avatar's a great example, right?
Huge
The
movie.
original Avatar, huge deal. The 3D thing, it hit at the right moment. You can say what you want about the quality of the movie, but it was a huge deal. And now we have the heavily anticipated sequel, and I haven't heard anybody say a thing about it other than, oh, it's all right. But it's the same idea, right? It's like we're so attached to the internet and everything going on that
Everything's so hype, so nothing's hype.
everything's so
Like
hype,
you
so
said.
nothing's hype.
Everything's so
that
hype,
might be
so nothing's hype.
That might be your podcast title.
I might say everything.
Everything's hype, so nothing's hype. Yeah, that's why I
When
try not to
everything's
get.
hype, nothing's hype.
It's the
Yeah,
truth,
when
though.
everything's super.
But you know what?
No
But
one
that
is.
that's why light covets darkness, though. Maybe the message of Kingdom Hearts is about that. Just like
Maybe.
you need that negative force.
Sora, we need to remove the hype.
We need to remove. Yeah.
No, Xehanort, hype is light or whatever
Or something like that.
or something.
All right. So look, we are coming up on an hour now. Actually, we're over an hour. We can always go back to Kingdom Hearts, but I need to make some time for Coheed and Cambria. I don't think I've got
Oh, yeah.
151 episodes. There's no band I've listened to more in my life than Coheed and Cambria, and I've never brought this band up. I might have brought it up briefly in some episode back in like the 30s, but I've never had anyone on who loves that band. I mean, I have my boy Dan Muller, but we were talking about other things. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so talk to me about your Coheed journey, and maybe just for someone who may not be in the loop, maybe just explain who Coheed and Cambria is.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you brought up the whole Kingdom Hearts thing and not having anybody to talk to about Kingdom Hearts, because I think Coheed and Cambria is a similar thing in that way, right? So Coheed and Cambria is a band that started in the early 2000s, and they're what's called a concept band. Not a concept album, a concept band. And the idea is the lead singer / rhythm guitarist Claudio Sanchez has this comic book story behind the music. It's not fully fleshed out. They don't have all the comics out yet, but they're working on that. And it's a really cool band. They do it's hard to define their musical style. It's like they started off kind of like all punk rock emo, but now they've evolved into like this weird progressive metal. There's
prog.
the Amory Wars. That's the name of the series.
So good, by the way.
Yeah,
I've read it
it's really
so
good.
many times. Oh god.
The story itself is kind of like it's like a love letter to all the like media he grew up liking. So there's some Star Wars in there,
And like his
there's
life too.
Well,
Right.
the main character's last name is Kilgannon.
Right.
You know?
So there's some Star Wars in there, but it's also what's interesting about it is he's famously for a lead singer, he is very why can't I think of the word I want? He's not very socially outgoing. He's very introverted.
He's introverted.
That's the word I wanted. Thank you. And so he wrote this story because he was having trouble writing songs about his life, but really the story is about his life, like metaphorically.
He seemed to create this vehicle of like imagination where he could really like grip with a lot of the things going on in his life, or concepts like that.
And I think it's made for some really, really good, incredibly emotional music.
Yeah.
And if you've probably heard a song or two by them, if you've played Rock Band, the original Rock Band, you've played Welcome Home for sure. That's probably their signature song. It's everywhere. In the mid 2000s, MTV played a lot of Favor House Atlantic, and so you might know him as the guy that sounds like a girl. That's what a lot of people used to say back then.
Or the guy who sounds like Rush.
Yeah, like Rush. That's another one, which is funny because
which is funny because you listen to him enough, like Geddy Lee and Claudio, they don't sound anything alike to me. But to so many people, they're like, "Oh, what is this, a Rush ripoff?" I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, I never would have put that together either.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Well, Claudio has a story about how he tried to start a band when he was younger, and the guy wanted to play Rush, and then when the guy they like tried to get in their band, they didn't know, and then the guy was like, "You guys are never gonna make it. You're dreamers. I'm leaving." Da da da. And then so he's hated Rush. Like his whole, he likes him now, but like growing up, he hated Rush.
Well, because it was like this shadow being cast over him.
Right. But they're very similar to Rush because in a lot of ways,
similar genres.
Similar
prog
genres,
rock.
and like it's sci-fi kind of stuff, which Rush did a lot of.
And they're nerds, just like Rush.
Nerds, exactly.
Nerds.
Like the same people that are coming up playing D&D now, listen to Coheed that played D&D back then listening to Rush.
Bro, you could wear a Kingdom Hearts shirt to a Coheed concert and someone will dap you up, be like, "Sick shirt, bro."
Yeah.
Like it's
for sure.
It's funny that you brought up the shirt thing because there's that unspoken rule that you don't wear a band shirt to the concert you're going to.
Sometimes
right?
I break that rule.
Coheed fans do not follow.
I was gonna say I don't follow that.
Yeah,
that's
like
I wear my
place
key
I've
work.
seen that.
I wear my key work. I don't give a fuck, man. But like I do, it's funny because I will follow that rule for other bands. But for Coheed, I'm like, no.
Coheed, that's whatever.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
Coheed, everybody's wearing Coheed stuff.
Yeah. And they've kind of grown. They've had a cult following for a long time, and it's just grown. Somehow, it's still stayed a cult following while growing bigger. They've never had that mainstream break, but they don't. I think they're such a successful band, they don't need it. But I guess that's a little about the band. I had heard of Coheed before Rock Band, but my real thing into getting into them was Welcome Home, right? Because that song is just such an electric song. It's such a good song, and it was so much fun to play in Rock Band. And then I went and saw them live. So me and my buddy were like, "Hey, let's go. This band's playing one of the local venues with this other band that we don't know. Let's just go see them. Let's go see Welcome Home live." And we saw them, and we were blown away. And then that's when I just started getting hooked. I've seen them.
Oh, here we go.
I want to say 75 times.
Are you? Oh shit!
Yeah, literally.
I want to say
I've
75 times.
maybe gotten 7.
And to be fair, I go to a lot of concerts. Like,
wow.
That's one
for a
of the
long time.
things.
That was like your main thing you'd spend money on. I feel like
some people buy cars, some people buy clothes, jewelry, whatever. I go to concerts. And I've slowed down in my older age a little bit because it's kind of tough standing there for 4 hours at a time. I'm starting to get lazy. But I've seen them probably over 75 times. Jason, myself and my girlfriend Tara went on the first Neverender cruise they did, where they.
I wanted to ask
their,
about that, and if you
Yeah.
guys had a good time.
That was sick.
It was
so
it was
sick.
It was a really good time. It's basically a
It
music
was-
festival on a boat, man. So it's like
You
what
literally
else
just
could you ask
go
for?
from like show to like eating. You're drinking the whole time. Then you go to the next show. Then you go like take a quick power nap because you need it. And then you go to another show.
Yep.
And then you go eat some more food. And you're still drinking. And
Yep.
like it's just a good time.
And it's all Coheed fans, and they're for as nerdy as they are, they're one of the nicest fan bases.
Yeah.
That you can hang out with, and that's typical of all like heavier music, right? Those people always paint heavy bands as like they have all these like these barbarians watching them, and they look that way, but they're actually the nicest.
They're just
Yeah.
sick. They're just
You know what I mean?
sickos. They're just sickos.
Exactly,
That's all
exactly.
it is.
Don't go to a Machine Gun Kelly concert. Those are the those are the people you gotta stay away from. But yeah. So I've just loved Coheed for a long time. I have a tattoo of their logo.
keyword.
It's hard to the keyword right here. I have the blanket that's every stream because part of it is like, like you said, you haven't talked a lot about this on your podcast, but if people like Coheed and they pop into our stream, I want them to go, yo, Coheed, right? I think that's actually why Lance stuck around at first, because Lance was like, yo, Coheed and Cambria, and we were like, yeah.
I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Lance texted me out of the blue one day. It was like a Tuesday at 2 p.m. And he was like, bro, you like Coheed? I don't know exactly where he picked it up from. Like, I used to have a Coheed poster in my backdrop, so maybe it was that. Or maybe, he heard it from you guys. I don't know. But he just takes me up one day. He's like, bro, you like Coheed? I was like, yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
So
one
we've
among
had
the
a lot
fence.
of people be like, oh, we're Coheed fans. We're Coheed fans. Like when they come in, like, oh, you
We're
guys
like,
are Coheed.
oh hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, hell
like
yeah,
you
dude.
already know they're good people.
No, you'll
And
have
I go,
friends
what's your
from
favorite
all
song?
over. Yeah.
And they go, I can't tell you.
yeah.
Not
No one
because they
could
don't know,
choose.
but because it's so hard to choose for people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been a big fan for a long time. I know Jason's a big fan. My girlfriend Tara's a big fan.
I don't know how many times I've gone. Maybe I might be hitting. It depends on how you count the cruise, but I think I'm in double digits regardless of the cruise.
Yeah,
honestly,
you don't
I
go to
feel like
nearly
out
as
of-
many concerts
I
as
don't go to as many concerts. No.
Yeah.
It's just over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll ask you guys I'll ask you guys something off stream at the risk of doxing ourselves. But I wonder if we've ever actually been to the same show, because I've seen them in like 3 or 4 different states. So
Have you seen them in Michigan?
no, all on the East Coast. I could give that up.
I think I've only.
I think there's only one other state I've seen them in.
Yeah, I've seen them. It's funny because I've seen them that many times, but I've only seen them in Michigan, Chicago, and then the cruise.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because
Go ahead.
they come to our state or our city quite a bit, but then I also go over to Detroit and I'll go over to Chicago.
Wherever they're at.
Maybe I've seen them in Indiana once, but I don't like going to Indiana if I don't have to.
Definitely not Ohio.
Yeah, definitely not Ohio. I'm not going to Ohio for any reason.
Yeah, take that, Lance.
Yeah, take that.
Ugh. Ohio, gross.
See, this is how I know. This is how I know I need to like work on myself. 3 seconds ago, at the risk of doxing us, and then you guys like screw Ohio. I'm like, yeah, Lance. I still have work to do.
And none of us blinked even, too.
You know, no.
Like, yes, but it was our hatred for Ohio as the worst state in the 50. It's just a terrible place to be.
I will say I'm gonna extend an olive branch over to Ohio. I saw the Cincinnati Reds play in Cincinnati. That's in Ohio, right? I'm not having a stupid brain fart. Okay.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah. But I will say that was one of the nicest sports venues I've ever been in.
That's a good stadium.
Yeah, the Great America Ballpark. I loved it.
Cincinnati's a good city. The problem is that's the zoo that killed Harambe, so I'll never forgive him.
Never forget Harambe.
Huge L.
Yeah.
Huge
L for Cincinnati.
Huge L. Big L. But a W in our hearts. Harambe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I think that the pocket of the internet I miss was when like pictures of Harambe with Gandhi quotes were going around.
Yeah. That's a good time.
I feel like it's the last time the internet was at peace. You know, it was just like this one thing. Everyone was upset about Harambe. It didn't matter where you were from. It didn't. Everybody was upset about Harambe.
All walks of life.
All walks of life. It didn't.
That and Pokemon Go. That's when the
Yeah.
world
The
came
summer
together.
of Pokemon
Go
Go.
and Harambe. Yep.
The summer of Pokemon Go.
But anyway,
Yeah, go ahead.
Landy, what's your favorite Coheed song, dude? We gotta talk about it.
Okay, I can't tell you song, but I can tell you In Keeping Secrets is the best album in their discography. But
It's really
that
good.
that's not a conversation Coheed fans have. The better conversation is what's your second favorite album? That's where things get juicy. So for me, if you group the Afterman together as like one album,
Okay.
to me, I
Okay.
think that is a freaking
That's goated.
masterpiece.
It's a phenomenal album, yeah. I would say my favorite is probably Good Apollo 1,
Solid.
but then my second favorite is In Keeping Secrets.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, but it changes by the month, right?
It's always
If
cycling.
you would have asked me a year ago, I'd go, yeah, I don't know, Second Stage Turbine Blade is hitting a little different today. You know what I mean?
Dude,
So
and Vaxxus too, bro. Vaxxus 2
Yo,
is so
actually-
high up
Vaxxus,
there
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
It's so
their
high
newest
up there.
album is so good.
I feel like the newest album, like don't get me wrong, the albums leading up to it were solid and everything, but I feel like this is the sound they've been like orbiting for the
Yeah.
last few years. Like this was like the
Yep.
peak of what they were working towards, and it
sure. Oh,
really
yeah.
all came together.
For sure.
Yeah, they're a very interesting band. I love the whole concept thing. Like, don't get me like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I love music, but I love when music can actually take me somewhere else. Like, don't get me wrong, we all have our love songs we like. We all have these songs that we relate to. We can kind of place ourselves within those lyrics. What I love so much about Coheed is like, there's no placing me in that song. Like it's an experience completely
It's like
removed from
otherworldly,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
you don't identify with cutting the throats of babies.
No, I can't say that I do. I can't say that I
with Al
do.
the Killer, dude? Come on now.
The worms mating in the fields. You're not a big fan. You don't think about that. No. What's interesting though, you say that, but actually one of the things I really like about it is one, yes, it can take you away and you don't fit. But if you think about what he was actually singing about in his life, there's some actually really relatable stuff in there too.
If you've had a really bad breakup, like a really, really bad breakup, there's stuff in there for you.
Well, but even outside of that, I'm not a father yet. I will be someday. But there's some really like poignant stuff in the newer stuff about him becoming a dad.
Yeah,
and
I'd
what
say the
that
newer
is and
stuff
what that
lends
means.
itself. I was gonna say the newer stuff definitely lends itself to more personal interpretations and stuff that I've typically like you. I'm not a father yet. I hope to be one day, but like hearing his experience, there's almost something transcendent about it that kind of makes me almost like summon the part of myself that would be able to do that.
Yeah. It can be relatable without you knowing that from your own personal experience because it's
Right.
done very well.
And what I found, and this might sound insensitive, but like I found that like bands that I've liked early on, the more turmoil they had in their life, the more I liked their music, right? And then they become adults more, and they become more well-balanced individuals, and maybe the music they write isn't as interesting, right? I don't have that problem with Coheed. With Claudio in particular. He's found a way to kind of continue, because I think because it's a part of this story. There's still the drama in the music and the emotional roller coasters in there that
Without him having a shitty life.
without him being a shit person, right?
Yeah.
Because there's some bands out there that I loved 10 years ago and I still, for nostalgia's sake, love today. But their lead singer's in prison, or they're
They're canceled as
they
hell,
weren't good
yeah.
people, and I guess that
Or
says a
even
lot
if they're
about me.
uninspired, or even if they're just
Right,
uninspired.
That as well.
That
as
too.
well. There's bands that just like they're writing like dad rock now, and before they were.
Well, because so many of them are broke, man. That's the sad thing.
Right.
Like, I think Coheed is a bit of an exception because they, for a while, they were their own distributor. The band has other forms of income.
merch they sell, man.
The merch they
Those
sell.
guys are nutty for merch.
Yeah, but
It's actually funny when
Yeah.
we were on the cruise. Taking Back Sunday opened up on the cruise, right?
from my
And,
backyard.
Yeah, they had to leave because I think Adam, the lead singer, had to have surgery or something, so he couldn't stay on the boat. So they played and then got off the boat right before it left. But they had this. There were two fans in the crowd that had captain's hats on, and they threw them at the John and Adam, two of the singers of Taking Back Sunday, and they put them on and they had Keyworks on top, and Adam's like, he thought these were hats they were selling on the boat. And he goes, of course Coheed and Cambria has captain's hats made. How come we don't have captain's hats? And it seemed like it was this long conversation they'd already been having about how Coheed just merchandises everything and they can't sell merch in the same way and they're mad about it. And then the fans were like, oh no, we made these. He goes, oh, okay, I thought Coheed made these hats. But I just thought that was so funny and so like...
Because they would. They would.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even blink,
sure.
yeah.
Well, they're doing another cruise this fall, and I guarantee they're going to have captain's hats there. They went, oh, shoot, we can do that.
We should do that. We should do captain's
exactly.
hats.
And people will buy them, so why not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're an amazing band. If you haven't listened to them, check them out.
Or if you like, I'll say, if you like comics and you like graphic novels, give it a read. Like, even if the music's not for you, like, it's a thrilling story. And if you like, look, if you listen to this, you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. You like things that are like convoluted, you know, in the way that you like. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Wait till you get to Good Apollo, baby. Like,
I'll say this right now. In the next 5 years, there's going to be like a Netflix show or there's going to be something. Like there has to be.
I have an opinion on this, but go ahead.
But I just think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be a pretty big deal when it does happen. Honestly.
I think so too.
Because I think it's a good story, and I think. But
it's cool.
Mark Wahlberg had the rights to the film, and then he let
Fuck
it
him.
lapse.
Fuck him. Fuck him. He was
Marky
great in The Departed. Good Vibrations is still a jam in 2023, but he bought the rights to that shit and did nothing with it.
That's true.
He was sitting on it. He's like, oh, if this blows up enough, I'll make something of it. He bought the rights to it and just, what do they call it? The golden handcuffs. That's what they call it. The golden handcuffs. So if I saw Marky Mark today, even though 10, 15 years ago, I'd be like, bro, The Departed was sick. Good Vibrations, still a jam. Now I'd be like, well, fuck you. You held this shit up for years. You held this up for years. But
he's a scary guy to say that to.
oh, if Mark Wahlberg kicked the shit out of me, that'd be amazing.
It'd be a good story.
It's a good
It'd be a
story,
great story. It'd be a great story.
That's at least one podcast episode.
I have no illusions about the consequences of saying this to Mark Wahlberg. I understand it, but some things need to be said. But speaking of things that need to be said, I don't want anything other than the No World for Tomorrow graphic novel. I don't want anything
that needs to come out.
from the Amory Wars or Coheed that isn't music, that isn't No World for Tomorrow. I'm aching. It almost feels like Loveless. It almost feels like Loveless. Oh, the last act was never written. And now we're all stuck here going in circles. Like, what does it mean? What is the gift of the goddess? You know, what does it mean to be one among the feds? Like, there's
I didn't realize Landy was the genesis of the Amory War.
Well, yeah, welcome to the Landy Lodge, by the way.
Yeah, what I'll say too, like I know it's a big thing that people do that like read like Berserk is they'll listen to music from like the anime and stuff like that while they read it, and that's literally what you could do with Coheed and Cambria because it's more specific too. It's not just like moods that like happen in Berserk where you're like, oh, sad part, put on Guts theme or whatever, right? Yeah. It's like, no, like, this is literally an event that happened. These are people saying these lines, like, these exact events. You could literally listen to it, and it's just, like, the most jammin' shit ever. You can literally listen to it and not read it. I've never read it. I've had Mike explain the story to me and stuff, like, maybe, like, on the way to a concert or whatever, as, like, something to talk about on, like, the 2-hour drive or something, right? But, like, I've never read it, but I still think the music is really, really good. And it's probably one of my most listened to bands, if not the most listened to band. Yeah,
so. Well, and that's why I'm like saying to people, like, even if the music isn't necessarily for you, the story and the novel itself really might be. You know,
and I'm saying it goes both ways too. You don't even have to care about the story. The music's really good too if you like the genre of music.
It seems like it's a band that's so compatible, whether you want to enjoy things in isolation or canonically or personally. Like I think this is part of their appeal, and like why you were bringing up how they could be so niche yet continually growing is because I think they really are compatible, like with what people need or like with what people are looking for. You know, and given like how the variety of their music, like there are like head banging like bangers, and then there's like the most beautiful, quaint acoustic song like you'll ever hear that's finger plucked, and it's just like it's just this ever expanding, fully inclusive library of I don't want to say content because I feel like that downplays it, but of this universe that could just be explored in many different avenues.
And they're all very talented musicians too. We haven't even said that.
Unbelievably talented.
Josh Eppard, the drummer, is probably my favorite drummer of all time. He's just incredible. And there's an album that he's not the drummer, or 2 albums technically that he's not the drummer, and it's my least favorite album because his groove is such a huge part of the band.
Yep.
And they're definitely guys that have had demons in their past with drug addiction and stuff, but they're all over that now, and they're all seem like the nicest dudes. We on the cruise ship, you got to just hang around them. You know what I mean? Like
You just walk up to him and be like, "Yo, I love your shit."
Hey, and you'd see Claudio watching other bands, and you'd see Josh running in the morning, and and so it was a really cool experience where it's they just seem like the nicest guys, that you could ever ask for.
It wasn't even like you would just see him. He invited people to come and do a morning run. Like, hey, at this time, we're gonna do a morning run.
That's cool.
You wanna set up your day right? Come run with me.
That's sick.
Yeah, I was knocked the hell out, dude. The bed that I was in was like a loft that was connected to the ceiling, right? Like it swings down, and because it's connected to the ceiling, it's rocking me to sleep, dude. It just lulled me to sleep. Some people, I could see it might make them sick. I normally am motion sick, prone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just lulled me to sleep. I couldn't sleep at home for a minute because I'm like, damn, bro, I need to be rocked to bed now,
Yeah.
I need to buy a hammock that automatically rocks you or something.
But
yeah, cool.
That's cool to hear. Honestly, they're from, as you know, it says right there, Nyack. I grew up just a few hours from there. I went to college right outside there, and that's where I discovered them. I'll say I did not have the same issue with Coheed that I had with Kingdom Hearts. I went to college, and I knew Coheed. Actually, funny story. I first heard Coheed and Cambria watching an AMV of Star Fox Assault set to Welcome
that
Home.
Makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense.
Just set to Welcome Home, and I was like, "What is this?"
I
was like, "What is this song? What is this band?" And that's how so I knew about Welcome Home and The Suffering and Favor House. And then I'm in college, and my buddy Steve, maybe he's watching this. My boy Steve, we're just hanging out with me, him, my buddy Glenn, and we were jam buddies. We'd play guitar and hang out, and he'd be like, "Yo, Coheed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know this and this and that." And he just starts playing some of these B-sides, like The Light in the Glass, 3 Evils.
Deep cuts,
stuff that wouldn't have made it onto MTV. And it just blew my mind because I thought they were just sort of this balance between either sort of this heavy rock metal or this sort of poppy, catchy rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of found the prog in between all of that stuff. And that's what I fell in love with. And I just remember going through. I remember the Afterman came out when I was in college, and we all got there day one, put it in the player. Oh my God, most college that we listened to it on a PS2. I'm not I'm not that old. The PS3 was available. Yeah. We were just broke, and we just had the PS2. But we listened.
I was gonna say it wasn't that long ago, but
it wasn't that long ago.
You could have done it.
But
you could have done it.
I was just a broke college kid.
Visualizer though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
I bet that hit with that PS2 visualizer. Though.
Yeah, it did though. We turned the lights off. Oh my God. Funny thing. Okay, another funny story. We thought my house was broken into while we were listening to that album because it was it came out during some kind of break. I can't remember if it was a springtime break or a more autumn break. But since we all lived in this off-campus house, we were hanging out there basically for that break, and that's when a lot of sort of those robberies would happen because everyone knew all the kids are home. You could break into their houses and steal what you want. So we're listening to it, and we hear a loud bam! Just a stray cat broke into the house. We came in through a window we left open and was just knocking shit over on the fucking. It was some anomaly of sorts, but it was just very, very weird. Actually, no.
It must have been during Hollywood the Cracked, dude.
I think it was. I think that one was for Descension. I think Ascension was a clean listen. I think Descension is where things got dark and a little scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I really like Afterman as well. It has a special place for me because those were the first albums that came out at the point where I was listening to it on my own.
Me too.
And
me too.
Because back in 2012 and So I was really hyped listening to both those albums. So those definitely have a special place in my heart too.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to pick, man. Like there's so many. There's only one album where I'm like, you're not in the top 3 contender. Like every single one slots in randomly and will move around, except for you.
What's the worst
I
song?
was about
What's the worst song?
we don't. I was about to say.
What's the
We don't-
worst song, Jason? What's the worst song?
The worst song, period?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Like
It's Hollywood the Cracked, bro. Like
I was gonna say, if not Hollywood the Cracked, like
I don't know. I like Hollywood the Cracked. I don't know. I like Hollywood
I
the
remember.
Cracked.
Okay, so
I think
saw
half
something
of
off
year.
Year
I
of the
think
Black Rainbow.
I think like half a Year of the Black Rainbow is where they bottomed.
yeah, well, that's the one that Josh wasn't on, right?
yeah.
But Hollywood the Cracked, I remember I was living with this guy who he was a musician himself, and he liked Coheed a little bit, but not as much as I did. But I took his music opinion very seriously because like he could play guitar very well, and he was in a band, and he did like music production and stuff. And I remember I got the album. Someone had bought it for me and left it in my car. So, this girl I worked with. That's a long story. We're not gonna talk about that. But I got home and I was like, "Yo, you want to listen to this with me?" And he was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Oh, this is sick," And then we got to Hollywood the Cracked, and I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this one. And he goes, "Is this butt rock?" And I was like, No, it's not. It's not butt rock. It's not butt rock. Coheed's not butt rock. This isn't butt rock. And then the more the song went on, I was like, my God, this is a butt rock song. This is totally a butt rock song. Like, and I was so distraught because I was like, oh, this is my favorite bands. No. Luckily, that's like that song's kind of it's grown on me more
anomaly.
sense. But it's
not a
definitely one of my
top
least
tier
favorite
song.
songs.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
not. It's
no.
run of the mill, if anything.
Yeah, it just has some weird like I don't know. It's just not. It's not his best work. It's not their best work.
No,
That's
I would agree. I would
that's
agree.
definitely a skip.
Much
you
as I
know?
like it, much as I like the song, I would agree. It's one of the weaker ones on Ascension, if not the weakest. Even though I do like it. Even though I do like it.
If not that, then maybe it's like Iron Fist. I don't really like Iron Fist.
I like the acoustic version of Iron Fist better
Yeah.
than the studio version. But, with all this talk of Coheed, this whole idea of like concepting a band from this story, I know we've seen some of it so far, but do you ever think we get like a video game equivalent of this? Do you think some band comes along, creates a universe through their music like this, and instead of it maybe coming out in graphic novel form, that maybe it comes through in a video game? Do you guys think something like that could work? Like,
Yeah, that's interesting actually.
I know there's games that are like heavily influenced with the music, like they make the music and the game like simultaneously, right? Like I think it's like Abzu or something where the music changes based on how you interact with the world. It's more of just like you walk through and explore the world type thing. Like there's not really any other gameplay, maybe like some puzzles and stuff, but like the music changes based on what you're doing and like your movement and stuff. I know there's games like that.
There's Metal Hellsinger.
Metal Hellsinger. Do you know what Metal Hellsinger is, Landy?
I do not.
So it's a game where the soundtrack is like a bunch of like popular like metal artists are on it, and it's like a shooter but rhythm shooter. So like you have to shoot on beat and like dash on beat and stuff.
Okay.
And as your multiplier goes up, more of the song layers on top of itself. And once you get to the highest multiplier, then the vocals come in. And so you're like just absolutely rocking when you're on the highest multiplier. And then when you mess up and then like the voice goes away, but it's still jamming, but like you want to build
But
it
you have
back
to build
up.
it back up.
So
That's
like
cool.
you pretty much just keep building the song up yourself, and then you fucking God dig it, and then you take a hit.
World
or
Ends with
something.
You. World Ends with You had a mechanic kind of like that when you were in the open world. Like
Oh,
could-
okay,
Really?
yeah,
you
yeah.
could,
Or like
like-
Hades.
Well, I was gonna say with World Ends with You, like basically they had like a dash button, and if you pressed it in rhythm, like you could do whatever beat you want, like steady ones, like one,
Oh, yeah,
1, 2,
yeah.
1, 1, 2.
I remember seeing people do that in Neo.
Yeah, it adds like an electronic drum to the song, and you can kind of make your own remix to all these songs using like this basic like electronic drum mechanic, which I thought was really cool. But
Yeah,
it's,
It would be
Metal
really cool if they
Hellsinger-
did that, though.
yeah,
What's interesting about Metal Hellsinger though is these are all like famous metal artists that wrote music for this game, right?
Yeah.
They didn't just put like a Judas Priest song in this song.
Yeah, it's
and
like
this
for
game.
the game.
These guys wrote it for the game, so that's why I brought it up. But as far as like what Coheed does, where it's like a story,
I don't think it exists.
yeah, it doesn't exist, but I think it could, right?
It would be really
I'd love
cool.
it. Wait, are you guys familiar with Matthew Chastney?
I don't think so.
Oh,
but
you
maybe.
guys got to look him up.
Not by
Okay. So this is actually what made me start thinking about this like years ago. So Matthew Chastity, you got to look him up. He made orchestral arrangements to the first like 4 Coheed albums, and they are immaculate. Like it sounds like an epic is taking place. So what that made me think is like, imagine a band laid down like a solid like rock album, or like pick your favorite genre. It doesn't matter to me, but lays down this solid album, and then like for the game, someone came along and made orchestral versions of all those songs to almost create a more cinematic approach. Not that you can't include like the original songs here and there, but like, can you imagine just like the melody of Favor House playing when you're on a level, and then maybe something like you're saying, as you build momentum with the combat, like more comes in. But like it made me start thinking about this immediately, where I'm like, yeah, you could pretty much just take, if it was a rock album or hip hop, and you could just turn it into something more orchestral if you needed to. I don't know. There's just so many avenues you could go with this. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think ideally if they do make a show, right, it would include the songs in that kind of like way, where it not necessarily like it's playing the actual album track, but it's like the melody, or you hear
the time consumers running as the intro credits pull up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
But I actually have had this idea in my head, and if I ever like became just obscenely rich, I would like go and try to propose this. But the whole rock band, we're big rock band fans. We played on stream
thousands of hours.
Yeah, but we I would go to Harmonix, the company behind Rock Band, and I would say, hey, we need to make Coheed and Cambria rock band, but instead of it being like, oh, it's just them playing shows, the game is the story, right? So you play through it, and then
that's cool.
You get to a part with the song, and you play the song, right? And then you could just play quick play and just play with all the songs with the band or whatever. But if they made like this like action,
like the story
RPG,
mode was the story.
Yeah, this action RPG where you stopped to play like songs. I don't know how it would work, because you'd need like the guitar peripheral just chilling by you, or a way to play the game with the guitar, which could be pretty inventive and cool. But I've always thought like that would be the coolest fucking game. That would be a game made tailor-made for me as a person,
Well, there's also games like there's like Crypt of the Necrodancer, and then like the Zelda one, which I loved. I loved the Zelda one. Me and my nephew beat it in like one sitting. It was really, really fun. But yeah, if there was something like that, dude, that would be so sick.
Because I just love this idea that like I could ingest this story in multiple ways. Like, don't get me wrong, since we're talking about music, I love listening to Kingdom Hearts music, Yoko Shimomura, all that. But like, all those songs are used for various scenes, right? Like all those, like one song, like take The Other Promise, for example. You could probably conjure up like 15 to 20 different scenes that thing was used in. It's just a matter of where your brain goes at that point. But I would love the idea that kind of like what Coheed offers with, their comics is like, I love this story so much. I could literally get like narrative highlights in like jamming form. And I don't know, there's just something so cool about that. Like, imagine you could just relive the fight between Sora and Xehanort in like some epic rock ballad form, just as you're driving to work or something. I don't know. Like, there's something about like just being able to take this story that I love so much and just conjure it up in different ways or experience it different ways. And again, there's a level of that you could get with Kingdom Hearts music, but I think when a song like what goes on with this is built around a particular scene, like, the torture scene that Three Evils is based on, and then, and like, you just kind of create such a specific picture as opposed to something more broad, which is what a lot of this instrumental video game music does. Which, here's a hot take I have that I wonder what you guys feel. I'm sick and tired of the like numbered titles of Kingdom Hearts having songs that have nothing to do with the plot. I'm sick and tired of it. They're amazing songs. I'll listen to Simple and Clean till I'm dead. I'll listen to Sanctuary till I'm dead. I'll listen to Don't Think Twice until I have Alzheimer's. But Every they have nothing to do with it. Like I
feel like if you had Alzheimer's, you'd continue to listen to it because you didn't know that you were going to stop.
I love the idea that Simple and Clean and Sanctuary lasts through Alzheimer's, but don't.
I was too old. I was in my mid. Like no. Like that. I was too old. Too old when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out.
They're strong enough memories that they last through Alzheimer's.
But you would be like, you'd have Alzheimer's. But you'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna keep listening to Don't Think Twice till I have Alzheimer's, because you don't know.
Or I wake up every day and I'm like, this is a jam. What is this?
Yeah.
But like legitimately, and like all this talk of music, it's like when I think about things that can elevate the series, like again, like Simple and Clean, right? You listen to that song, it immediately takes you back. Right, but to me, it really really takes me back to the first time I heard it, seeing that commercial, first times I saw Sora, Hercules, Cloud, one commercial. Like I always get transported back to that room in my parents' house all those years ago. But like I don't remember Sora having to meet Kyrie's father.
The lyrical content does not match.
It does not match.
And I think Sanctuary's a little closer, but it's still just definitely it's a song not about Kingdom Hearts, right? And you can thematically connect some lyrics to stuff that happens in KH2,
but it's not quite there.
Recom, but it's not quite there.
It's definitely coincidence at that point. Yeah.
I haven't analyzed Face My Fears lyrics enough because it hasn't been out as long as those other two to know. But I'm not even sure that song's about anything. It's a good song, but I'm not even sure that, but yeah, I think part of it though is like, when Utada writes these songs, she's writing them in Japanese and then they're translating them to English, right? Which she speaks English. She translates them herself, I'm sure. I'm not super familiar with the situation, but in my head, like, I agree with you. I hear Simple and Clean Planet B remix, and I think of that commercial. But if I hear Hikari, I think Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Exactly what you mean.
They're the same song. It's just the slight difference of the language change. I go, huh? And it's weird because I didn't listen to Hikari till years after I had played Kingdom Hearts 1 because why would I? There wasn't a way for
you didn't have LimeWire yet. You didn't have LimeWire yet.
Exactly. And I was and if I did, I was downloading the System of a Down cover of the Legend of Zelda theme that wasn't really.
There wasn't really System of a Down.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone downloaded that freaking thing.
Yeah, everybody had it, man. Everybody.
Rick rolled.
Right. But it's interesting though. Like that would be cool if that was more. But like she's, as much as she's not involved, Utada, like, or I'm sorry, there, right? They change pronouns, right? Is that I'm right about that?
I think you're right about that, and I think there is a safe, just a safe bet.
We'll say they. I don't want to. In all seriousness, I don't want to do that wrong. They are involved because obviously. Nomura has based Kyrie's design off them, for
the hair,
time, the hair and all that.
Yeah.
So they obviously have communicated with Nomura at some point, but I don't think Nomura's going, "Hey, here's the story," while they write the song.
Right.
So it'd be pretty
just
tough
getting completely leaked.
It'd be pretty tough for them to do that properly, and you know what I mean? Like, so.
And then
I
do
don't
it
blame Utada for that.
And then do it in 2 languages.
Yeah. On top of that, that's
and still
it's such
have
a
it
good
sound
point.
good.
Yeah.
Like, it amazes me that Hikari and Simple and Clean are ostensibly the same song, but they both sound good in different ways,
All right, this may be sacrilege in the Kingdom Hearts community, but I like entertaining all ideas. How would you guys feel if they actually moved away from Utada for that stuff?
I think
I'd feel sad. I'd feel a little sad. I wouldn't be mad, but I'd feel a little sad. It would feel different.
It would definitely feel different. I think if you were to do something like that, you have to do it now. So it's like she was Dark Seeker Saga, and then maybe you have someone else you could fit into Lost Masters arc. But I almost wonder, and this is just a musical preference, as someone who loves the Utada songs that come to Kingdom Hearts, but honestly, I don't listen to their stuff outside of that.
No, yeah,
it's not really for me. So don't get me wrong. If Utada's doing it, ride or die to the end, I'm a happy man. I love the
Right.
songs. We could keep
Right.
doing it this way, and I'll be very happy. But if they got someone who can give like Kingdom Hearts an anime intro, my lord, you guys kind of know what I mean by that. That's sort of like J-pop blend of like Journey and Rush. You know what I mean?
Like the characters are like Naruto running in it, you know, like
well, I mean more the sound rather, like whatever they want to put in the background, I suppose. But
Right.
like I don't know, like something like Larkin Seal, something by them. You know, if anyone's familiar, they did a like Full Metal Alchemist intro. But
Okay.
I almost wonder if something that's a little bit more, I don't want to say like punkish, but more like high energy, energetic, get you going. And I don't, again, maybe that doesn't fit into Kingdom Hearts as we know it. You know, again, Utada and the songs they make it's kind of like what you were saying when you listen to Hikari. It sounds like Kingdom Hearts, you know, so they're able to capture that, which is why, you know, I understand if they don't want to move away from it. But I almost wonder, you know, if Kingdom Hearts ever would move away from that or move away into like a new style for sort of their, because like they tried to do something with Skrillex and her them and like it didn't really work. Like I don't know, Face My Fears is cool, but dubstep
it's kind of grown
really
on me. But at first I was definitely like, it's
cool.
kind of grown on me a bit because like when it gets to that really Skrillexy part when the chess pieces are fighting, that's kind of hype.
I do like it. Yeah, I do like it. But to me, it's like it doesn't give me that feeling that you're talking about when you listen to Hikari. Mm-hmm. You know, I
definitely just think of the intro movie when I hear it. Right?
Yeah,
like I don't think of like just Kingdom Hearts in general. I think of the intro movie.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like Face My Fears was such a strange. I feel like it was a deviation from what they've done in the past because, you know,
I think so
the
too.
Planet B remix specifically of Simple and Clean is pretty fast paced. It's techno music, it's dance music, it's not, you know, punk or whatever. And then Sanctuary was a little different, but it's kind of a rock song for Utada.
Yeah,
it has like the breakdown where it gets real heavy.
It has that bridge where it's a dun.
My heart's about on the ground. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, it kind of has it, but then Face My Fears, it was like Utada wrote a song and they said, here you go, Sonny, here you go, do your worst with it. And I think he did a good job, and you know he's a Kingdom Hearts fan, so it's like cool. He wanted to do something good for it. But it was just such a strange departure, and then they added Don't Think Twice as well, which it's like it's almost like they knew Face My Fears wasn't what they wanted, but but Don't Think Twice was too slow.
And the English version of Don't Think Twice, that bridge is awful. I'm gonna say it. If you want to take it to an even higher level, you
don't like that?
I don't like it. I love the Japanese version. If you listen to the Japanese version of that part, that's the best part of the song.
I like it in both, but I can understand
I think
not liking it. Yeah.
I think it breaks up the flow of the whole song, and I really like Don't Think Twice. I still listen to it, but I really feel like that bridge in the English version kind of breaks up their flow.
Landy,
like it almost feels forced. Go for it.
I have a hot take for you.
Good. Get me off the move away from Utada height thing. Get me away from that. Go for it.
All bridges and all songs suck because they're supposed to.
Oh,
because then
how could you as a Coheed fan say that?
Because then you're excited for the chorus again because you're like, okay, I'm out of this bridge. Okay, not all.
Okay,
but the bridge, I think the bridge is designed to suck. The bridge is
designed to break it up.
There's a difference between it being the weakest part of the song and from it sucking.
Okay,
now,
fair.
The weakest I can get with
I'll
weakest.
Rephrase.
Okay.
The bridge is always the weakest part of the song because it's supposed to make you hype for the last chorus.
Generally speaking, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I would agree with you.
I actually had an epiphany about this because I got really into listening to Running Up That Hill. Just because I had never heard the song before. Okay, I actually listened to it before I watched that part of Stranger Things, but anyway, that's besides the point. I listened to it first time and I was just like, this song's awesome. How had I never heard this song before? And the bridge is terrible in that song. The rest of the song's perfect. You get to the bridge and you go,
wait,
what is this?
I'm sorry, I have to fight you. The Simple and Clean bridge is amazing.
Now I can't remember what the bridge is.
Hold me, whatever lies beyond this morning. And then, like, isn't that technically the bridge of that song?
I'm not sure.
See, that one's tricky. I don't know if that's a bridge. I'm not a music man. I'm not a music master. So in the comments, if you want to kill me for it, that's fine. But
It might technically be an outro chorus. It might technically be an outro chorus.
I think that's technically the chorus still.
Look, this is why I opened
Genius.com says it's the bridge.
Genius.com?
Genius.com
That's what
says
we're going by?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, listen, I went to imright.com. I went to imright.com, and I'm right. Okay?
Yeah, I went to youropinionstupid.com, and it said that it's not the bridge. Yeah, it's probably a bridge. You're right.
But no, generally speaking, though, that's why I said generally speaking, you are right. Like, the bridge is not, it's not as cool as the verse, not as cool as the chorus, not as cool as, like, whatever instrumental solo the song has. I'm with you. I'm with you there.
I haven't written a song before, but I imagine the way it works a lot of the time is they come up with a cool idea for either a verse or a chorus, and then they work their way out from that, and they go, we can't just do a third chorus again. We need something different, and then they come up with the bridge, and it's usually the last thing they come up with. That's I think typically how people write songs.
That's just like what makes sense, you know.
That's what would make sense to me. But I'm not an expert.
I like the hot take.
Well, and then the chorus after the bridge is always a bit different, right? Like it's either a bit more hype,
it's like
or a key change or something, or like something like that.
Don't get me started on key changes. I love
key changes are always hype.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
I love a good key change. I love a good Bon Jovi key change. You know?
But all right, so we are at 1 hour and 50 minutes. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about today that we may not have covered yet?
I do have something to say, actually.
Yes.
I just want to say, Landy, one, we appreciate being on the show. This has been a blast.
I appreciate you guys making the time for it. I really do.
And I appreciate you as a person, and because, there's a lot of weird people on the internet. And then there's also Kingdom Hearts content creators, right? And you are the you're the kind of person that is a positive influence on the community without being a freaking weirdo. You know what I mean? And we we've been so lucky that we've met so many cool people on the internet, content creators and not, that are just awesome people. But people like you and regular Pat and stuff like that are just cool people, and they're just trying to they embody the message of Kingdom Hearts, which is friendship and kindness and helping each other out. And so we love, I don't always succeed at that. I'll admit I'm a bit of a gruff guy sometimes, but like it's just really cool seeing a content creator like you out there that's doing that. You know what I mean? And we were, that's one of the reasons, I don't just go on any podcast I can, you know what I mean? Like, not that people are offering. If you want me to be on the podcast, let me know. But
he's turning down offers left and right, gentlemen.
Without knowing you very well, I knew how this was going to go because I know that you're that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So I just want to say I don't watch a ton of Kingdom Hearts content because it tends to brain rot me, and then I'm like stealing people's content for my podcast. But when I do watch you, you just seem like the most positive, nicest dude. And so thank you for being that for the Kingdom Hearts community. I'm just going to thank you on behalf of the Kingdom Hearts community.
Well, considering this is coming from the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast host, I am flattered, and honestly, no, that means the world to me. One of the whole reasons I got into this is I just wanted to make Kingdom Hearts more enjoyable. That's literally all I want to do when I make these theories, when I do these podcasts with guys like you. I'm not really. Don't get me wrong, I want to entertain the ideas that I think are the most plausible, but I don't care about being right about theories. I don't care about being the best at X, Y, or Z. I want to make this series more enjoyable. There are creators like you guys who have made this series more enjoyable, and I just want to be a part of that. And I, like you said, I am far from a perfect person. I've got plenty of shit I got to clean up, but I do my best to, like you said, kind of embody this message of friendship, seeing the good before the bad, trying to like, being positive and trying my best to kind of manifest my best self when I do these sort of things. And,
For sure.
getting feedback like that always helps. And like, again, my whole aim is to just make this all so much more enjoyable, make the wait for Kingdom Hearts 4 more bearable, make some, make some friends along the way. And like, for the first time in my life, I've got people I could really talk about this kind of stuff with in depth. And I have no shortness of gratitude for that. I also understand that for reason X, Y, or Z, this could all just be over tomorrow. Like for whatever reason, like you never know. So I cherish every moment of it. And so long as I'm here doing what I do, I'm gonna make your perception of me as accurate as I can make it, to put it bluntly. But honestly, coming from you guys, that really does mean a lot. We've had our back and forth over the last like year or two since we've been like connected and stuff. But anyone I've ever talked to has only had amazing things to say about the two of you.
Oh.
And
you're not talking to the right people.
Their comments hold water.
You're not talking to the right people, Landy.
I guess so.
Or he is, right?
Or you are, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you are talking to the right people.
Yeah. Don't talk to anybody else. Don't ask anybody else. No, I'm having fun here, but like we try our best to do exactly what I described you as be this friendly presence for Kingdom Hearts and these people that embody what it's about. I'm just kind of a jerk sometimes. I'm not gonna hide it,
I can be
I just
too.
say I say
you're abrasive. You're abrasive.
Yeah, I'm abrasive.
Yeah, I get it because I am too. And people like sometimes I'll be talking about like something random. Like I could be talking about fishing, and people will be like, dude, like chill, like just because it's just kind of the way I am. I'm just like I don't know.
You know what people say to me a lot, because I'll get going about something and I'll be like excited, and they're like, "Why are you yelling at me?"
Yeah, for real. It's like I'm not. I'm just excited.
Am
like
I yelling
in real life. In real life.
Like, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm sorry. Because I'm trying to. I'm not trying to like intimidate anybody or be nice. I'm a bigger guy. But I get that a lot where people go, "Why are you yelling?" And I go, "I'm not. I'm sorry."
They're like, "Oh, you're being a lot," but it's like I'm radiating.
Like fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it happens to me on stream a lot because, like, you hyperbolize things on stream. You blow it up,
Yeah, exactly.
You just push it to whatever the extreme is or whatever. And I feel like sometimes, I feel like usually I do a good job of making it obvious. But, like, sometimes they'll be like, "Why are you so angry, Jay?" And I'm just like, I'm not actually mad. Like, this is just
it's a bit.
It's a joke.
It's a bit. It's a bit. And exactly. Yeah. And like that's actually one thing I do want to see in the community a little more is more playful arguing. And maybe that's the New Yorker in me where it's like my family shows love through arguing in a very playful manner. Like it's just like, for instance, like Mets Yankees, Jets Giants, all these things that like in the grand scheme don't matter but are fun to argue about. Now, I feel that way about video games and like Kingdom Hearts and like, hi FF7 shippers, hit up your boy. Like, I think it's fun to like do that, but I'm always so hesitant to do so, right?
Yeah,
because again, so many of these, I know I can do it with you guys, right? But there's no guarantee that someone who just hears me shouting into the void picks up on the fact that I'm being coy or that I'm trolling or that I'm being hyperbolic.
Well, you don't want to ostracize anybody either, right? Like people who have like so much of that in their real life where they're like constantly there's battles going on like mentally.
They might have a shitty
whatever.
Supervisor who's just always talking at them.
Yeah,
and like
and so they don't want that, and you don't want to have that be the reason why you're not able to connect with that person or whatever.
Well, and
so it's hard.
Yeah.
What it's also hard about it is when you're arguing with someone about it and you think it's playful and then it turns out it's not. But I always try to de-escalate with humor. You know what I mean? Like that's always been something that I've learned to do through my experiences in life and been taught to do.
It's a good skill, period. Not just for,
But I think because a lot of times it's like, for example, Twitter. I've gotten in some hot water before on Twitter with some other cage content creators who didn't like what I had to say.
Oh, gee, you're so unique.
Yeah.
What a unique experience.
I know. Imagine that. But it's because I was trying to like, prove my point through joking with them, and then they would take offense to what I said. And it's like, I'm not like actually attacking you. I know you think I am, and if you perceive it that way, I apologize. But I was told that this person told me that they can't interact with me without being insulted by me because I constantly insult them, and I was just like, that's not true. Like I barely interacted with you, and when I did, I didn't insult you. But hey, it is what it is. But that's what's tough about it is and I don't ever want to make anybody feel bad or. But I am who I am at the same time. I try to be funny, right? Haha, that's what any of us do. We're trying to make people laugh, and sometimes people don't laugh, and sometimes I'm not funny. Like it's that simple.
Sue me. Look, you can't. They can't all be dingers. Sometimes you strike out. Sometimes you strike out. But
most of the time.
Most of the time. But honestly, at least since I've started like getting involved, I do feel like I'm seeing, and again, maybe this is just the result of me muting the right people, but it seems like, I don't know, I feel like the Kingdom Hearts community, as I'm able to see it, seems more positive than I've seen it in a long time. Like in a really long time. Like the last time it was this positive was like the months leading up to KH3, and a lot of that, as we know, was like inflated with expectations that were through the roof that we were going to get like the Witcher 3 version of Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
Yeah,
no, for sure. I do agree that I see, and I think it's because there are people like you out there making content that are these positive people, and you're not like, it's not clickbaity or sensational. It's like, hey, this is what I think. I'm just being me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of creators like you out there right now that are kind of coming up, and there's still the old guard's still there, and they have their different things they're doing, and they're not bad people by any stretch of the imagination. But there's a different way of doing it now, and I feel like that's helped people. Be a little more positive and have a little more fun with it. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
I honestly, I feel really bad for people that make content about things they don't like, or if they're like preying on people's downfalls, or like or they talk, or even if they just talk like internet drama. It's like, I don't know, man. Like if I'm gonna sit at my computer like editing something, it's because it's because there's love there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if I'm gonna take time away from my like wife and dog, it's because there's love here, not because like and like I've got my criticisms of Kingdom Hearts, and I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share them.
And it's out of love that you're like saying, I love this series. I don't like this part about it. I wish this part was better.
I wish the songs had more to do with the game. Like, what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Things of that like. And I think you're starting to see a little bit more of that too. And I think you're starting to see people are kind of pulling away from, because that's the thing. This isn't just a Kingdom Hearts problem. There are instigators out there who are really good at instigating, and I respect them, because you know what? If this is how you get your bread, go eat. But they're really good at instigating. Like okay, I could say it. Did you guys watch that? What's his name? Ask Your Uncle. I think his name. He made like that 5-hour analysis of Kingdom Hearts 3.
The waste of effort one. Yeah, I never watched it.
See the thumbnail. Even though like
I saw the thumbnail and I was like, I'm good, bro.
Even though I disagree with a lot of what he had to say, but can still respect what he had to say. But that thumbnail was not the vibe of the video.
No.
He was.
That's what I heard.
That's what I've
but
heard.
I'm still
it's
like,
a really well done video. But like, I see the thumbnail and I'm like, and most and. Kudos to him, because most people saw the thumbnail and clicked it, right?
Yeah.
Where I've been like, no. So if he missed out on my view and got 100 others or whatever, that's the move, right?
Yeah. But again, I think honestly, I think it did him a disservice. I think he may have gotten, and what do I freaking know? I'm like a fraction the size of the YouTuber he is. But like, I don't know. I think if he was trying to start a conversation, I think he had the merit to do it based on that video. I think that thumbnail did him a lot of disservice, because I think a lot of people who may have disagreed with him but were open to that dialogue were really turned off by a thumbnail like that.
Yeah.
But,
even if you turned it into a question, I feel like it changes the tone. Was Kingdom Hearts 3 a waste of effort? Or, like, was it or even saying, like, was Kingdom Hearts 3 like a it's not waste of effort, but like
A failure.
Overhyped. Did it live up to the hype?
something like
Things
that. Or
yeah.
yeah. I can't think of the right.
If he puts a
phrase,
question
but-
mark on it, I'm still rolling my eyes. But maybe I'll click it. You know.
Honestly,
Yeah.
no. I have to say, it's of all the videos I've seen on YouTube, this is a guy who cares about his work, and it shows. And I think he's smart, and he knew
If
that
you make
hyperbolic
any length of
thumbnail.
video like that, you have to care a little bit, right? Like it was
Yeah.
a long video.
Well, that's why I didn't like the argument that was getting held against him. Like, oh, you hate it that much? You made a 5-hour video, and I'm like, I'm over here with my 2-hour videos. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
That
Even though I
was
disagree
a
with
weird
him.
things to
criticism.
say.
That was a
Yeah,
weird
that's-
criticism that I've seen because like, it was a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans that were just like they didn't watch the video like I did, and they were just like, "Wow, really? You hated this and you made a 5-hour video?" And it's like, well, you didn't watch the video, and like you watched like a 5-hour video about the history of bath soaps or something. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, don't
And he was
act
clearly a fan too. That's the other thing. Like when I'm talking about making things with love, there was love in what he made.
Yeah,
You know?
don't act like that's a crazy thing to see on YouTube. Is like I watched a freaking 7-hour video on the Laura Tekken the other day, and I was just enthralled. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
amazing, actually.
That's become the thing, are these marathon long videos that these guys make.
A
and
lengthily retrospective.
right. Well, no, that's the bit now. Is they go a short retrospective on Tekken, and it'll be 5 hours long. Right?
Yeah.
That's the bit. You say it's short, they're like and it's clearly not. But yeah, hey, respect to that guy, because like I said, like you called me out on the pro wrestling thing earlier. Hey, it's putting butts in seats, right? It might be cheap heat, but it's still heat. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't watch it, but that's okay. I don't watch a lot of Kingdom Hearts content though. Like
Yeah.
like I said, it brain rots me, and
What
then
I-
I'm, like,
what I
talking
do-
about it on my podcast.
The only like don't get me wrong, there are some who I think are so good I can't not watch them. Like Sonny Novus and Next Gen Novelist and Secret Reports. There's 3 for you.
Yep.
Sonny Novus, Secret Reports, Next Gen Novelist. If any of those 3 drop a video, I watch it day one. But what I'll do is like if I have a theory, I'll look it up on YouTube first. Because the last thing, and I've thankfully caught myself doing this, the last thing I want to do is if there's a smaller YouTuber out there that's broken a theory, the last thing I want to do is
Right.
put that theory out on top of them and yoink them. But I feel like that
I don't want to
an
even
ex-
like subconsciously do it. That's
Yeah.
why I don't like to. There are certain ones where it's like very.
I just know if I'm putting
it's
something
not-
up, I want to make sure no one else has put something like that up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always avoid it. Some things will slip through the cracks. But, I always feel like, at least if you make theories like I do, it's common courtesy to say like, hey, has somebody else thought of this already? And then instead of like you breaking the theory, you can build on what someone else has already made. And that's what I liked about what Sonny Novus would do, is some of his content really was like building on the ideas other theorists had established. And I think that's a cool way to have a dialogue as a community, as opposed to
Collaborative. It's not against each other. It's collaborative.
It's
not
additive.
at odds.
Yeah. And I will say, I've got this happened when last time I had this happen was when like the Union Cross finale came out, and I got clickbaited by like 3 different people where they just summarized what happened in Union Cross, and I was like, I didn't come here for a summary. You had this title and this thumbnail, like you had an implication of an event or a theory, and all I got was this summary. Is what it is, just a personal taste.
Yeah.
But I get it. You know what? I see, I see the utility of it at the same time. Because there's a number of Kingdom Hearts fans who don't want to watch those cutscenes. They don't want to watch the Union Cross cutscenes, and they'd rather have a YouTuber, big or small, just summarize it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense that it exists. And I'm not going to say that I watch that stuff all the time, but I have watched summaries of things to go, maybe I don't have to do this. But I have unfortunately watched all the Union Cross cutscenes, even stuff. So.
Yeah.
See, and
lot.
when we were talking a little bit earlier about like a show, I think that if you're going to retread anything, I suppose that might be the best thing to retread, just because it looks like it's going to be so important.
Just knock H1,
in the
please,
future.
bruh. Please, bruh. Like, please, bruh. Do not retread KH1 again.
Well, you know what I would.
I already got.
Yeah.
already got KH1. I got freaking Chain of Memories. I got freaking Recoded. Like, how many times do I need to retread KH1, bro?
But you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
All right.
That was his big complaint about Recoded. Is just
We just
we were
recently played
retreading it,
Recoded for the first time.
Honestly, I love Recoded. I like, honestly, as a game, I think it's actually underrated. But I think as far as the
I like
narrative,
a lot of the gameplay stuff.
yeah, I think as far as the narrative, like that was a very long-winded way to tell us that Roxas is still hurting. That was, you know, I understand why they did it because it reinforces that Kingdom Hearts 2 is not a not that it's not a happy ending, but that it's not a solution to the underlying problem. And Coded kind of lets you know that, like, hey, it can't stay this way. Roxas is hurting. But it was just very long-winded. And you know what I hope they do? I hope, just like the Foretellers had back cover, I hope they make a Dandelion equivalent of that in the future. That
would be cool.
That would be cool. We are over 2 hours now. 2 hour 10 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't.
It's
I didn't
okay.
mean to have a community conversation.
That's okay.
We were
That's okay. We had some conversation. We talked about.
It was a good time.
Shout out to Ask Your Uncle and his 5-hour video. If you have it in your watch it, why
go
not?
Check it out if you haven't already.
If you need a 5-hour
5
video
hours to
for your
spare,
second monitor or something while you're doing something, check it out.
Just throw it. Even if you disagree with him, like it's good. I don't know. I like listening to people I disagree with.
It might get your creative juices going, you know?
Mm-hmm. And you know what I'd like to see? If anyone is so upset with that guy's 5-hour review, give me a 10-hour rebuttal where you deconstruct all his arguments. I think that would be awesome. But see, now I'm rambling. Why don't, to close this out, you guys tell the people what you're all about, where they can find you. Just give them an idea of who you are again, and then we'll close this one out.
Okay. We are the Super Spaghetti Bros. We're brothers, by the way. My name is Mike. That is
I'm Jason.
We do a weekly Kingdom Hearts podcast called The Ansem Report. We are on season 2 of The Ansem Report, and I think we just did episode 32. We're doing 33.
Yeah, so overall like 180.
I never remember. I always have to look before we.
I don't know, dude.
But we're the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast
of all time.
Call us those damn podcasters. And we also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Super Spaghetti Bros. We've been streaming. We're finally finishing Persona 5 Royal pretty quick here. Playing Crisis Core. We do all kinds of stuff on there. So come Marvel Snap. So come hang out. Jay, what you have anything to add to that?
I mean, yeah, just all those same places. If you like Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power, I also have a podcast for that called Second Breakfast. Check it out. We go through each episode. We just recently marathoned the whole show in one sitting on stream, which is really cool. But yeah, check it out if you're interested.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Guys, it was my pleasure. You're welcome in here anytime. When you see those like giant podcasts going on where I have like 20, 30 people, no, you're just like always invited to that.
Awesome.
I really
I was wondering when my invite was going to come. I see all those people and I'm like, hey, I could sit and share and say things every once in a while.
You guys know a thing or two about podcasting. But it was an absolute pleasure to have you guys on. Again, welcome in here. Anytime. If you guys need any help following them, or if you don't follow them already, all their links are in the description. Please give them a follow. If you like what we do here, you're going to like what they do there. And with that said, you all be good out there, be good to yourselves and each other, and I will see all of you beautiful sickos and normies next time. Guys, thanks for coming on. It was awesome. Peace.